Oh my God, hello. Just me and Bay chilling. You know, we was watching some TV and we thought we'd just come up here and spook the girls. You trying to be spooky tonight? Oh my gosh, shut up. You always playing, come back. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you so hard. Hey everybody! It's gonna be hard for me and Scully. Huh? Oh, your name is Scully too? I forgot. This is Scully as well. Y'all both named Scully. These my boyfriends. He a little deadpan. LOL. He a little what's the word? Cold. You know what I mean? But it's okay because he loves me. All right? And we just wanted to come up and spook the girls. You too rough. Like I told you to stop. You need to use lotion. First of all, why is the tag still on you from last year? Girl, I'm got the dang on screen is so far away I could barely see what y'all saying. Somebody said get a room. Not get a room. This isn't our room. Why are you looking at me like that? Close your mouth. This is some scary stuff. Somebody said, yeah, girl, we getting scary and spooky in here today. Now, y'all know it is a tradition here on WillOnAWhim, this YouTube channel, where we go live every Halloween, around Halloween, and we do spooky, scary stories in the dark. Now, I feel like the evolution of this has been something that could honestly make me tear up. Stop, don't get emotional. He always get emotional when I talk about this, but he's holding my hand. Can you, babe, get your hands in there. Ow! Put your hands down. Oh my God, you're embarrassing me. Scully got veneers. I don't know, he got some nice teeth. Show him your teeth, babe. Yeah, them chompers. The evolution of this series has been, to me, just like, girl, I could cry thinking about it, but we gonna save the tears for later, okay? I feel like we had like, it just didn't work. It didn't work out a few years. I don't know how long we've been doing this. This probably like the third annual production of this, and every year I ask everybody for stories, like DM me some stories, email me some scary stories that I could tell in the dark, and the girls never send me anything. It's like when I released merch for the first time. Everybody was like, Will, release merch, release merch, release merch. And then I released merch and then crickets. Girl, one person bought the merch. One. Just one. And so, girl, every year I'm like, hey, can y'all send me stories? This year, people actually sent me stuff, right? So two people sent me things in my email. Two. Which is 200% up from the other years because it's literally, we got 0 the other years. Miss Girl, either way, I made sure I was gonna come through if y'all didn't come through for me. So I literally purchased a book on Kindle. I purchased, girl, with some coins. Somebody said, y'all mean. I can't believe I can even read that. I need to put on my glasses to be honest. But I can't even, like I spent coin because I didn't want to like fall flat. Cause last year we were like sitting there looking up stories on Reddit, and I was like just going by what's the saying? Fly by my seat. I was flying by the seat of my pants, flying by the pants on my seat, pants in the seat, flying on the seat. Long story short, we have stories this year, and I'm gonna read a few. Somebody said, that's dark, Raven. I can't even see. Oh my God, what? I could just bring it closer to me. Yeah, I could just bring them closer to me. This is my, I just be so scared that like some kind of cord is gonna fly off and then I'm not gonna be able to see anything. I could bring this so much closer to me. Yeah, why am I tripping? Like, why you be tripping? Walking like a dog. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I also got new cords and whatnot to hook up everything, so everything should be looking good. Girl, yeah, everything should be looking good. And I upgraded my, we'll talk about all that stuff later. Now I can see. Look at the cameras. Look at the not the cameras, child. I could look at the. Somebody said, "Why we flying?" I don't know. Seat flying by the seat of your pants. Seat of my pants. Okay, sir. Okay. Anyway, the cookout story was lame. I kind of remember that. Some of y'all feel like been rewatching the old ones. Anyway, we are going to do a few things today, and I'm going to let you all choose. We have Miss Crumble Cookies in the house. She is sitting over there in a big old pink box on the table. We could get into the spooky stories. Let me take a little sip from my spooky cup. Baby, you want some? You're not thirsty. But baby, you gotta hydrate. No, because that's why you're looking ashy now. Look at you. You pale. I thought you was... Oh. I thought you was black this whole time. Apparently it's not black. What are you then? You prefer not to say? But we gotta do the census is coming up. You don't care about the census, you anti-establishment? Okay. Right on, brother. I mean, brother. Anyway, we could get into the spooky stories immediately, or we could try the crumble cookies now, or we could like do it as an intermission later. Maybe we should do it as an intermission. That's my choice. But what do y'all think? Crumble cookies now or later? Oh, y'all ready to get into the spooky stories? Somebody said, please, I'm screaming. Shh. Girl, you know the kids sleep. Speaking of kids are the most spooky thing. Halloween is spooky because kids are spooky. Kids are the most spooky things ever. Why? Girl, I told y'all that I moved away from, somebody said later. Okay, yeah, that's how I feel too. I moved away from my old apartment complex because of kids. I was like, it was kids. The cast of Rocket Power was outside of my apartment door every single day. There's like some hair. I just bought this new like sheepskin thing upstairs, and things are flying everywhere. Anyway, y'all, I moved because the cast of Rocket Power was skateboarding and doing wheelies and 360 80s, flipping up and dipping up inside the middle of the air outside my apartment door every day, and it was just too much noise. And I moved here because there's not too many kids here, because we don't have bathtubs, and apparently families don't like places without bathtubs. Standing showers are kind of hard to wash your child in. But tell me why the only family in this whole complex just moved next to me, and they got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kids. It's a 2-bedroom, man. Something's going on illegal. Anyway, let's just get into the stories then. I read one of them halfway, but we have a few good, like, mid-length, kind of short stories. Let's go ahead and get into this. Okay, I'll be right back. I have to, like, set up the... Crumble isn't worth it, overrated. I hear you on that, but we're going to try them later. Let me set up real quick.
You walking too fast. I never seen Uncle Myers do that. And I never seen him with their wig. But it's cool. So you, Javen, why you wanna wear the wig? You like a Mikael Myers.
Mikael?
Yes, that's not Michael. That's That's Mikael Myers. That's like Grandma Myers. You walking too fast. I never seen Uncle Myers do that. And I never seen him with their wig. But it's cool.
And we're back. Y'all, we finna get spooky up in here. You guys have anything to say? You dead? He's so dead. He's so dead ass all the time. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into these stories. I have a few. This is a little bright. Girl, shining this bright into my eyes straight like I'm doing an eye exam. Okay, like somebody said I'm scared. You better be, cause we finna get spooky. And y'all already know I have an anxiety. Somebody just texted me. I don't know who this is. They text me the same thing. It might be a poltergeist now that I'm thinking about it, because they text me the same thing almost every Halloween. Hello. Just hello. Hello, it's me. Okay, I'm gonna navigate to this story. Where's the story? Dang, why is this story so tiny? Y'all know I have an anxiety of reading out loud, and it's because of like elementary school. Elementary school be having the girls wheezing, girl, in the back of the class if you stumble on a word. Okay, are y'all ready? Here we go. This one is called The Monkey's Paw. Now, this one is a classic. I actually got this from a list that NPR put out of like horror stories, and this is a classic one. It's written by, girl, I do not even know. Figure it out. It's called The Monkey's Paw. You can Google it. Somebody may have heard this. Somebody may have read this already. The Monkey's Paw. Okay? Outside, the night was cold and wet. But in the small living room, the curtains were closed and the fire burned brightly. Father and son were playing chess. The father, whose ideas about the game involved some very unusual moves, putting his king into such sharp and unnecessary danger that it even brought comment from the white-haired old lady knitting quietly by the fire. "Listen to the wind," said Mr. White, who, having seen a mistake that could cost him the game after it was too late, was trying to stop his son from seeing it. "I'm listening," said the son, seriously studying the board as he stretched out his hand. "Check." "I should hardly think that'll come tonight," said his father, with his hand held in the air over the board. "Mate," replied the son. "That's the worst of living so far out," cried Mr. White, with sudden and unexpected violence. "Of all the awful, out-of-the-way places to live in, this is the worst. Can't walk on the footpath without getting stuck in the mud, and the road's a river. I don't know what people are thinking about. I suppose they think it doesn't matter because only 2 houses in the road have people in them." "Never mind, dear," said his wife calmly. "Perhaps you'll win the next one." Okay, there's a lot going on here. I feel like who's who? What is going on, girl? But we got the girls playing chess. There's a fire going. There's an old lady in the building. There's a wife in the kitchen kind of cooking a little bit. The son is like kind of smart and cute and fun. Just beat his dad. His dad is trying to distract him from winning. Mr. White looked up sharply, just in time to see a look between mother and son, a knowing look between mother and son. The words died away on his lips, and he hid a guilty smile in his thin gray beard. "There he is," said Herbert White as the gate banged shut loudly and heavy footsteps came towards the door. The old man rose quickly, opening the door. Okay, I'm trying to figure out who. I think there's a Mr. White, which I think is the dad, and then there's a Herbert White, who I think maybe is the grandpa. So grandpa is grandpa is okay. The old man rose quickly and opening the door was heard telling the new arrival how sorry he was for his recent loss. The new arrival talked about his sadness, so that Mrs. White said, "Tch," and coughed gently as her husband entered the room, followed by a tall, heavy-built, strong-looking man. Okay, see, I'm trying to figure out who's who. Okay, so Mrs. White, I guess Herbert White is the dad. Girl, I don't know, child. Do you know? Anyway, okay, so a strong-looking man followed this man in, whose skin had the healthy reddish color associated with the outdoor life and whose eyes showed that he could be a dangerous enemy. Okay, you're a little creepy. "Sergeant Major Morris," he said, introducing himself to his wife and his son, Herbert. Who is Herbert? Okay, so Herbert White is the son. Oh my God, this is too much. They playing chess. A visitor came to the house. They live apparently really far out of the way. It's rainy outside. It's muddy roads. There's only 2 people who live on the road, and this guy just came to visit them. His name is Sergeant Major Morris, and apparently he recently lost somebody in his life. The Sergeant Major shook hands and, taking the offered seat by the fire, watched with satisfaction as Mrs. White got out whiskey and glasses. They finna get drunk. They finna get turned up. Hey, turn up. After the 3rd glass, his eyes got brighter and he begun to talk. The little family circle listened with growing interest to the visitor from distant parts as he squared his broad shoulders in the chair and spoke of wild scenes and brave acts of war in strange places. 21 years of it, said Mr. White, looking at his wife and son. When he went away, he was a thin young man. Now look at him. Okay, so I guess Mr. White is a man from his childhood who went away to war, and now he's just coming to visit. I guess he's like in town or whatever. He doesn't look to have taken much harm, said Mrs. White politely. I'd like to go to India myself, said the old man, just to look around a bit, you know. Better where you are, said the sergeant major, shaking his head. He put down the empty glass and, sighing softly, shook it again. I should like to see those old temples and fakirs and the street entertainers, said the old man. What was that you started telling me the other day about the monkey's paw or something, Morris? Nothing, said the soldier quickly. At least nothing worth hearing. Monkey's paw? Said Mrs. White curiously. Well, it's just a bit of what you would call magic, perhaps, said the sergeant major without first stopping to think. His 3 listeners leaned forward excitedly. Deep in thought, the visitor put his empty glass to his lips and then set it down again. Mr. White filled it for him again. To look at it, said Sergeant Majors, feeling about in his pocket. It's just an ordinary little paw dried to a mummy. Okay, we got, somebody said this backstory, go crazy. Somebody said, not Harambe. You dead ass? You dead too? LOL. Somebody said Harambe, I'm crying. Why would you say Harambe? I'm crying, child. Somebody said, okay, y'all lost? How is you lost? Is everybody lost? Because I could kind of explain that. I feel like I know what's going on now. This guy, they're playing, okay, the story just opened up with dad and son playing chess. I'm imagining like maybe a cabin or something, just like an old house. There's 2 of these houses on this long road in the back. Okay, y'all a little bit confused. Okay, yeah, there's a cabin or this house that's like in the middle of nowhere. They're really far out. And that's just to set the scene. I think that's just to add suspense. Y'all all lost. Okay, so Mrs. White, and there's Mrs. White, Mr. White, and the son, right? And there might be like a grandpa and a grandma in the house. They at the beginning they referenced like a white-haired old lady who was knitting by the fire. So I imagine they related to her. Like she ain't in the house for no reason. Ain't just a white lady in the house next to the fire for no reason. So I think it's just their grandma. They're playing chess. Mrs. White is in the kitchen cooking, but they're kind of waiting for a visitor. This visitor is Mr. White's childhood friend who went off to war for like 21 years, and now he's a sergeant. And I guess, I don't know what time period this is, but sergeant is taking like a long time, and it's a little wild outside weather-wise. So the dad is like, I don't know if he's even gonna make it tonight. But then, mid-playing chess, they heard like a little bang in the little gate that they have outside. And they were like, oh snap, he's here. So he came on through, child. Somebody said, put on your spooky voice. Okay, I'm gonna put on the spooky voice. He came on through, he came in, and he introduced himself to the wife. And apparently he had just lost somebody. Like, I guess that's why he was coming over. I don't know. He was in town or whatever, but he just lost somebody in his life, Sergeant Major Morris. And so they were kind of being like, hey, sorry for your loss or whatever. And then Mrs. White was like, hey, shots. She went to the cupboard, sis. She got some whiskey out. She was like, let's Girl, let's drink. Let's get key. Let's give me the tea on like what your life was in war or whatever. And so she gave this man 3 glasses of whiskey. He just knocking them back, child. And he's drinking. His eyes is widening. He's like talking about all his travels. He's been to India. He's been to all these places. They all think he's so interesting. So they're like all leaning in, like, oh my God, like what, like hanging on to every last word he's saying. And then, so they said, not the cupboard. Okay, he getting drunk, right? He getting turned up. He don't never got nothing to say when I want to say something. Now, if he really do say something, I'm running. I'm turning off this live stream and getting the heck out of here. But yeah, so they just talking and they're catching up, and then I guess they talk on the phone or something, girl. They must be. It can't be like old times where they using like Morse code. Oh, that's funny because his name is Sergeant Major Morris, but he can't be. They have to be like talking or something, writing letters to each other. Because he was like, "Yeah, Sergeant Morris, didn't you tell me the other day something about like a monkey paw or something?" And then Sergeant Major Morris is like, he's like a little reticent. He's like, I don't know if I want to talk about this monkey paw because he's like uneasy. He's made uneasy by it. And Mrs. White is like interested too. So she's like, yeah, tell me about it. And so he's drunk. So he gonna spill the tea. And that's where we are now. Somebody said, leave Bones be. They named you Bones. He said he would like to be addressed as Mr. Scully and Mr. Scully only. Scully don't find you funny. He don't. Can you? Pay attention. Oh my God. So he about to spill the tea on the monkey's paw. Okay? So that's where we are. And if y'all get lost again, just raise your hand, sis, and we'll go through it again. Okay. So he's saying, so I'll go back. His 3 listeners leaned forward excitedly. Deep in thought, the visitor put his empty glass to his lips and then set it down again. Mr. White filled it for him again. To look at it, said the sergeant major, feeling about in his pocket. It's just an ordinary little paw dried to a mummy. He took something out of his pocket and held it out for them. Mrs. White drew back with a look of disgust, but her son, taking it, examined it curiously. And what is there special about it? Asked Mr. White as he took it from his son and, having examined it, placed it upon the table. It had a spell put on it by an old fakir. Huh? Go to monkey paw is cursed, child, said the sergeant major. A very holy man. He wanted to show that fate ruled people's lives, and that those who tried to change it would be sorry. He put a spell on it so that 3 different men could each have 3 wishes from it. The way he told the story showed he truly believed it. He truly believed it, and his listeners became aware that their laughter was out of place and had hurt him a little. Well, why don't you have 3, sir? Said Herbert cleverly. The soldier looked at him the way that, girl, not the police, the sirens. Oh my God. Get on to where you need to get to, child. Okay, child. Herbert is a little slick. Well, why don't you have 3, sir? Said Herbert cleverly. The soldier looked at him the way that the middle-aged usually looked at disrespectful youth. Oh! Now he said, shut your mouth, little brat. They coming to arrest you for this story. Stop. They said they coming for you, Mr. Scully. Right, silent. He don't need to talk until his Miranda rights is read to him. He said, yeah, no words against me shall be proven, whatever the case, whatever Miranda rights are. Okay, so he looking at him like, you a little disrespectful, but I have 3 wishes, he said quietly, and his face whitened. And did you really have the 3 wishes granted? Asked Mrs. White. I did, said the sergeant major, and his glass tapped against his strong teeth. Okay, what kind of toothpaste he using? Crest White? No, not without the white. He probably got that fluoride, that extra fortified. He probably using something like Tom's. You know Tom's? Tom's that good, that like brand that's like all natural or whatever. He got them strong tea. What you be drinking? Drinking all that whiskey? His tea can't be that strong. Anyway, they made it a point to say he got strong tea. You got strong tea too. Hey, they say Invisalign. Yes, Invisalign. And has anybody else wished? Continued the old lady. Who is the old lady? Is the old lady? Who is the old lady? That's the real question. I'm more spooked by this woman that's by the fire knitting. We don't know who she is. Get this woman out my house. The first man had 3 wishes. Yes, was the reply. I don't know what the first 2 were, but the third was for his death. That's how I got the ball. His voice was so serious that the group fell quiet. If you've had your 3 wishes, it's no good to you now then, Mr. Morris, said the old man at last. What do you keep it for? The soldier shook his head. Fancy, I suppose, he said slowly. I did have some idea of selling it, but I don't think I will. It has caused me enough trouble already. Besides, people won't buy. They think it's just a story, some of them, and those who do think anything of it want to try it first and pay me afterwards. If you could have another 3 wishes, said the old man, watching him carefully, would you have them? I don't know, said the other. I don't know. He took the paw and holding it between his finger and thumb, suddenly threw it upon the fire. Mr. White, with a slight cry, quickly bent down and took it off. Better let it burn, said the soldier sadly, but in a way that let them know that he believed it to be true. If you don't want it, Mr. Morris, said the other, give it to me. I won't, said his friend with stubborn determination. I threw it on the fire. If you keep it, don't hold me responsible for what happens. Throw it on the fire like a sensible man. The other shook his head and examined his possession closely. How do you do it? He asked. Hold it up in your right hand and state your wish out loud so that you can be heard, said the sergeant major. But I must warn you of what might happen. Sounds like the Arabian Nights, said Mrs. White, and she rose and began to set the dinner. Don't you think you might wish for 4 pairs of hands for me? Somebody help Mrs. White. No, I'm just going to say let it burn. Somebody help Mrs. White. Y'all got her in the kitchen busting it down for y'all to eat, pouring whiskey glasses. You see a whole waitress for the night. Help Mrs. White. She's setting the table all by herself. Y'all doing what? Kikiing over next to the fire with this random old woman and this Sergeant Major Morris drinking. She the bartender. She the cook. She the waitress. Help Mrs. White. Justice for Mrs. White. Anyway, I wonder what she cooking. She better be cooking something good. Mrs. White, don't fail us. I better not get to the next paragraph and they're like, yeah, she's serving them okra and fried green beans. Oh my God, Miss White. Miss White, now you go to bed, Miss Girl. Anyway, he's telling his man, like, hey, this is how you use it, but, like, beware, girl. Whatever happens, it's your fault, because I told you to throw it on the fire, child. Let it burn. Her husband drew the talisman from his pocket, and all 3 laughed loudly as Sergeant Major, with a look of alarm on his face, caught him by the arm. If you must wish, he demanded, wish for something sensible. Mr. White dropped it back in his pocket and, placing chairs, motioned his friend to the table. In the business of dinner, the talisman was partly forgotten. And afterward, the 3 sat fascinated and listened to more of the soldier's adventures in India. Okay, so I guess this man was just all up in India, child. She make an oatmeal, somebody. She make an oatmeal? Yes, I do that thing. Yes, I do the cleaning. Okay, somebody already trying to wish. Raven said they want to wish for that cash money. Okay, interesting. Girl, now my phone locked. What would you wish for, Scully? Why would you wish that? Okay, well, whatever that means. You said tell him what your wish was? He said that he wished he could die again so he can get the hell away from me. So, he said he dead ass too, so Mr. Scully, we gonna talk later. Oh, now he don't want to talk. I go through so much with him. Anyway, okay, so they're sitting down. They're listening to sitting down. They're almost kind of forgetting about this monkey paw thing. They're listening to the soldier talk more about his tales in India. And then let's see. Okay, if the tale about the monkey's paw is not more truthful than those he has been telling us, said Herbert as the door closed behind their guest just in time to catch the last train, we shan't make much out of it. Okay, so he's gone. Sergeant Major Morris has left the building, child. Did you give anything for it, Father? Asked Mrs. White. Huh? See, this is why I think there's a, I don't know who is who. Cause why would Miss White? Oh, okay. I see now. There is a grandpa. The grandpa there's a grandpa in the building, child. And Mrs. White, that's Mrs. White's dad. Okay. But the husband is the one who took the monkey paw. And they both named Mr. White. Because that's how nomenclature goes with. Girl, the binary is a hot mess. The way that it has influenced linguistics. Mrs., and Mrs. will denote marriage and who's who. But everybody with the last name White and a man is everybody Mr. White. It's too much. So Mrs. White is like, hey, Dad, did you pay anything for that? While she kind of watched her husband closely because he kept it in his pocket. A little, said he, coloring slightly. He didn't want it, but I made him take it, and he pressed me again to throw it away. Not likely, said Herbert with pretended humor. Why, we're gonna be rich and famous and happy, smiling, he said. Wish to be a king, Father, to begin with. Then mother can't complain all the time. He needs to go home because Mom been cooking and cleaning. He need to go to bed. Send him to bed because he's doing too much. He ran quickly around the table, chased by the laughing Mrs. White with a piece of cloth. Mr. White took the paw from his pocket and eyed it doubtfully. I don't know what to wish for, and that's a fact, he said slowly. It seems to me I've got all I want. Aw, he's content. Especially like watching his little kid run around being chased by his wife or whatever. That's cute. If you only paid off the house, you'd be quite happy, wouldn't you? Said Herbert. Why does Herbert know all the business? When I was younger, girl, we don't talk about bills. Don't talk about my, you know what I mean? Like, that's adult grown folks' business. He's talking about if you pay off your house, maybe you'll be a little bit happier, Dad. Who is this kid with his hand on his shoulder? Well, wish for 200 pounds then. That'll just do it. So where are they at? 200 pounds. So they must be in like London, right? Pounds. And 200 pounds to pay off a house. I don't know where are they at? They're not in 2022. 200 pounds will do it. Huh? Yeah, 200 pounds of gold in 2022. Anyway, his father, smiling with an embarrassed look for his foolishness and believing the soldier's story, held up a talisman. Herbert, with a serious face, spoiled only by a quick smile to his mother, sat down at the piano and struck a few grand chords. I wish for 200 pounds, said the old man clearly. Y'all, he made the wish, child. A fine crash from the piano greeted his words, broken by a frightened cry from the old man. His wife and son ran towards him. It moved, he cried, with a look of horror at the object as it lay on the floor. As I wished it, it twisted in my hand like a snake. Well, I don't see any money, said his son, as he picked it up and placed it on the table. And I bet I never shall. It must have been your imagination, Father, said his wife. Huh? See, now I'm really even more confused. Because why she keep calling him Father? Maybe that's like a thing that they do in London. They call their husband's father. That's doing too much. Or maybe he's like a priest. Child, I don't know what's going on. It might be a little incest in here. Herbert said coins only, right. Anyway, it must have been your imagination, Father, said his wife, regarding him worriedly. He shook his head. Never mind, though. There's no harm done, but it gave me a quick shock all the same. They sat down by the fire again while the two men finished their pipes. 2 men? So there's a granddad. I can't do this. I'm trying to figure out who's who and what's what. Outside, the wind... Yeah, okay, anyway. Outside, the wind was higher than ever, and the old man jumped nervously at the sound of a door banging upstairs. An unusual and depressing silence settled on all three, which lasted until the old couple got up to go to bed. I expect you'll find cash tied up in a big bag in the middle of your bed, said Herbert as he wished them good night, and something horrible sitting on the top of your wardrobe watching you as you pocket your ill-gotten money. Okay. Herbert, who normally had a playful nature and didn't like to take things too seriously, sat alone in the darkness looking into the dying fire. He saw faces in it, the last so horrible and so monkey-like that he stared at it in amazement. It became so clear that with a nervous laugh, he felt on the table for a glass containing some water to throw over it. His hand found the monkey's paw, and with a little shake of his body, he wiped his hand on his coat and went up to bed. Okay, child. That was part 1, sis. Is anybody lost? Is anybody lost? This must be witchcraft, somebody said. Now, what y'all think this monkey for? What y'all think about the habit, child? Somebody said Mike Pence calls his wife Ma. What? He messing with the supernatural, now he's scared. Y'all lost? You lost? I mean, it seems pretty... Okay. You had to leave real quick, so you a little lost? I'm as lost as last place. No, I'm as lost as last place. Oh my God. Somebody said, I just got here. Okay, real quick. Boom. All right. People playing chess, girl. The son and the dad playing chess. It's real dark. It's a scary night. It's like wind howling outside, and they're in the middle of nowhere. There's 2 houses on this street. It's real deserted up in here. But they're expecting a friend from childhood, like the dad or the grandpa. We don't know. We're not sure. But one of their friends is coming, Sergeant Major Morris. But they don't know. They don't got cell phones and whatnot. So as they're playing chess, they're like, oh no, we don't know if Major Morris is even going to make it tonight. But Mrs. White, all the same, is making, like the wife, there's a wife, a dad, and a son, and maybe a grandma and a granddad. But the wife is in the kitchen. She cooking up, girl, lasagna, pasta, lamb, hog, potatoes, you know what I mean, collard greens. She in there busting down, throwing down, even though it's probably just oatmeal. She probably just cooking oatmeal because it's London in like 1890. And so she in there cooking or whatever because this guest is about to come over. Soon as they're like, oh, we don't know if he's going to be able to make it tonight, boom, they hear something outside. What's that? It's the gate in front of their house. It's open and wide, bust wide open. Sergeant Major Morris is pummeling his way up to the door, knocks on the door. They answer the door. He comes in. Immediately, Mrs. White is like, let's get drunk. Let's turn up, purr. And so she throwing everybody drinks, right? Whiskey, 1, 2, 3. He drank 3 things. Sergeant Major Morris, who is this man who was in India for a while, and he was like, he's in the army or whatever. So as he's drinking, he's telling everybody all these stories, regaling them about all of his times and at spectacular times in India. And it feels so foreign to these people. They're like, oh my God, like this is so cool. So they're all like leaning in like, yeah, tell us more. And then homegirl is like, didn't you say something about like a monkey's paw or something to me once? And he was like the sergeant was like, yeah. Oh my God, what happened? Yeah, but we ain't gonna talk about it right now. But because he was drunk, he started talking more about it. Now Scully is asleep. And 3 wishes, girl. There's this, somebody put a spell on this monkey paw, child. It's a dried up monkey paw. Put a spell on it to say that 3 men who come in contact with this monkey paw will each get 3 wishes. He said he don't know what the other people was on, but the last person, how he got it, was because somebody died. They wished for their death. was the last wish, child. So he got, like, Sergeant, they asked him, like, what, like, did you get your 3 wishes? He said, yeah, I got my 3 wishes, but I don't want nothing to do with this monkey paw anymore. So he threw it on the fire. Threw that thing in the fire. I set fire, full on Adele, to the rain, and I threw us into the flames. Like, full on that. And Mr. White was like, get that monkey paw out of the fire. He picked it up out the fire, got this monkey paw, and he was like a little skeptical, but he was like a little intrigued. And he later on, anyway, Sergeant Major Morris left after drinking or whatever to catch the train, and he held it up, and his little son was like taunting him about how he ain't, finished paying the mortgage and all this stuff. So Mr. White just held the monkey paw up and was like, listen, I'm gonna, I wish for 200 pounds. So that's when we knew immediately that they must be an 1890 girl. Because how you gonna wish for 200 pounds to pay off your mortgage when in this housing crisis is giving 200 pounds of straight up, I don't even know, what do you think? Silver, okay, pure silver to pay off your whatever. Anyway, so yeah, so they left. And then they started hearing things go bump in the night in the house or whatever. And then everybody else went to go to bed. Herbert, the son, stayed up a little bit to watch the fire die out, and he was looking in the fire, and he saw monkeys. Child, he saw monkeys. He saw a monkey in the fire, child. He's like, what's that? And so it's a little creepy. What is going on? So he threw a glass of water on the fire, and the fire went out. I know y'all like, move on, we want a different story. No, we're going to get through this story because I want to know what happens, child. Part 2, and it goes by quick. This part goes by quick. Part 2. In the brightness of the wintry sun next morning, as it streamed over the breakfast table, he laughed at his fears. The room felt as it always had, and there was an air of health and happiness which was not there the previous night. The dirty, dried up little paw was thrown on the cabinet with carelessness, which indicated no great belief in what it could do. So it's a new day, child. It's a new day. But that monkey paw sitting on the counter, child. I suppose all old soldiers are the same, said Mrs. White. The idea of listening to such nonsense. How could wishes be granted in these days? And if they could, how could 200 pounds hurt you, Father? I don't know why she keep calling him Father. Might drop on his head from the sky, said Herbert. Moore said things happen so naturally, said his father, that you might, if you wish to not see the relationship. I don't know what kind of sentence that was. It didn't make sense to me. Morris said, well, don't break into the money before I come back, said Herbert as he rose from the table to go to work. Oh, so he a working boy. I don't know how old he is, but he older. So are we sure that ain't her dad? We are not certain. But I just think it's maybe like a little thing that they do. Like, hey, daddy, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. I'm just going to replace it with daddy if she say anything further. Okay. So Herbert is on his way to work. He's saying, I'm afraid it'll turn you into a mean, old, greedy man. And we shall have to tell everyone that we don't know you. His mother laughed and, following him to the door, watched him go down the road and returning to the breakfast table. She felt very happy at the expense of her husband's readiness to believe such stories, all of which did not prevent her from hurrying to the door at the postman's knock, nor when she found that the post brought only a bill, talking about how Sergeant Major Morris can develop bad drinking habits after they leave the army. That Sergeant Majors can develop bad drinking habits after they leave the army. That's interesting. She got this random thing in the mail. Herbert will have some more of his funny remarks, I expect, when he comes home, she said as they sat at dinner. I know, said Mr. White, pouring himself some beer. But for all that, the thing moved in my hand. That I swear to. You thought it did, said the old lady, trying to calm him. I say it did, replied the other. There was no thought about it. I had just... What's the matter? His wife made no reply. She was watching the mysterious movements of the man outside who looked in an undecided fashion at the house, appeared to be trying to make up his mind to enter. In mental connection. So I think they jumped a little bit later into the day. And now there's this man outside of the house. In mental connection with the 200 pounds, she noticed that the stranger was well dressed and wore a silk hat of shiny newness. 3 times he stopped briefly at the gate and then walked on again. The 4th time he stood there, his hand upon it, and then, with sudden firmness of mind, pushed it open and walked up the path. Mrs. White at that moment placed her hands behind her hurriedly, untied the strings on her apron, and put it under the cushion of her hair. She brought the stranger, who seemed a little uncomfortable, into the room. He looked at her in a way that said there was something about his purpose that he wanted to keep secret, and seemed to be thinking of something else as the old lady said she was sorry for the appearance of the room and her husband's coat, which was usually worn in the garden. She then waited as patiently as her what? What? Why would this say this? I'm gonna read this, but this is what it says. She then waited as patiently as her sex would permit for him to state his business, but he was at first strangely silent. Oh, I guess there's like some kind of, this is in the olden times where there's like, because she's a woman, it's like, even though sex and gender are 2 different things, it's like, he's supposed to like, when he comes into the room and he sees like a woman, she's supposed to be like, hey girl, like this is my business. You gotta state my business. Anyway, I was asked to call, he said at last, and bent down and picked up a piece of cotton from his trousers. I come from Ma and Megan's. The old lady jumped suddenly as in alarm. Is anything the matter? She said breathlessly. Has anything happened to Herbert? What is it? What is it? Her husband spoke before he could answer. There, mother. Why are they calling each other mom and dad? He said hurriedly. Sit down and don't jump to a conclusion. You've not brought bad news, I'm sure, sir. And eyed the other, expecting that it was bad news, but hoping he was wrong. I'm sorry, began the visitor. Is he hurt? Demanded the mother wildly. The visitor lowered and raised his head once in agreement. Badly hurt, he said quietly, but he is not in any pain. Oh, thank God, said the old woman, pressing her hands together tightly. Thank God for that. She broke off as the tragic meaning of the part about him not being able to feel pain came to her. The man had turned his head slightly so as to not look directly at her, but she saw an awful truth in his face. She caught her breath and turning her to her husband, who did not yet understand the man's meaning, laid her shaking hands on his. There was a long silence. He was caught in the machinery. Now he was chopped up. Somebody said the spookiest thing about the story is the gender roles. Yeah, because why they calling it? What's going on? Girl, he was caught in the machinery at work. Repeated Mr. White. Caught in the machinery, repeated Mr. White, too shocked to think clearly. Yes. He sat staring out the window and taking his wife's hand between his own, pressed it as he used to. I think they like jumped forward. Anyway, he sat staring out the window and taking his wife's hand between his own, pressed it as he used to do when he was trying to win her love in the time before they were married, nearly 40 years before. He was the only one left to us, he said, turning gently to the visitor. It's hard. The other coughed and, rising, walked slowly to the window. The firm wishes me to pass on their great sadness about your loss, he said, without looking around. I ask that you please understand that I am only their servant and simply doing what they told me to do. There was no reply. The old woman's face was white, her eyes staring, and her breath unheard. On the husband's face was a look such as his friend, the sergeant major, might have carried into his first battle. So he's a little scared, a little shook. I was to say that Ma and Megan's accept no responsibility, continued the other, but although they don't believe that they have a legal requirement to make a payment to you for your loss, in the view of your son's services, they wish to present you with a certain sum. Mr. White dropped his wife's hand and, raising to his feet, stared with a look of horror at the visitor. His dry lips shaped the words, how much? £200 was the answer. Without hearing his wife scream, the old man smiled weakly, put out his hand like a blind man, and fell, a senseless mass, to the floor. Ja. No, she's watching right now. He got the money, and the words were, yeah, his son got chopped up in the machinery, and the people at the job was like, we don't accept no responsibility for this child, but we gonna give you this $200 though, £200. In a huge new cemetery some 2 miles away, the old people buried their dead and came back to the house, which was now full of shadows and silence. It was all over quickly. At first, they could hardly realize it, and remained in a state of waiting for something else to happen, something else which to lighten this load too heavy for their hearts to bear. But the days passed, and they realized that they had to accept the situation. The hopeless acceptance of the old. Sometimes they hardly said a word to each other, for now they had nothing to talk about, and their days were long to tiredness. It was about a week after the old man, waking suddenly in the night, stretched out his hand and found himself alone. The room was in darkness, and he could hear the sound of his wife crying quietly at the window. He raised himself in bed and listened. "Come back," he said tenderly. "You will be cold." It's colder for my son," said the old woman, who began crying again. The sounds of crying died away on his ears. The bed was warm, and his eyes were heavy with sleep. He slept lightly at first, and then was fully asleep until a sudden wild cry from his wife woke him with a start. "The paw!" she cried wildly. "The monkey's paw!" He started up in alarm. Where is it? What's the matter?" She said. She almost fell and came hurried across the room toward him. "I want it," she said quietly. "You've not destroyed it?" "It's in the living room, on the shelf above the fireplace," he replied. "Why?" She cried and laughed together, and bending over, kissed his cheek. "I only just thought of it," she said. "Why didn't I think of it before? Why didn't I think of it?" "Think of what?" he questioned. "The other 2 wishes," she said quietly. "We've only had one." "Was that not enough?" he demanded angrily. "No," she cried excitedly. "We'll have one more. Go down and get it quickly, and wish our boy alive again." Not this, child. Not the groovy background music. Oh, I forgot to change the music, child. Child, it's giving me like Forever 21 groovy background music. My bad, child. Doing cocaine off the back of the monkey's paw in Calcutta? What is going on? They're gonna get a zombie playing like this. Well, let's see. Get it, she said, breathing quickly. Get it quickly and wish. Oh, my boy. Her husband struck a match and lit the candle. Get back to bed. Okay, they really must be in like 1820, child, because they're using candles. They ain't got no electricity, but they got trains and stuff. Okay. Anyway, get back to bed, he said, his voice shaking. You don't know what you're saying. We had the first wish granted, said the old woman desperately. Why not the second? A coincidence, said the old man. Go get it and wish, cried his wife shaking with excitement. The old man turned and looked at her, and his voice shook. He has been dead for 10 days, and besides, I would not tell you before, but I could only recognize him by his clothing. If he was too terrible for you to see, then how now? Bring him back, cried the old woman, and pulled him towards the door. Do you think I fear of a child I've nursed? He went down into the darkness and felt his way into the living room, and then to the fireplace. The talisman was in its place on the shelf, and then a horrible fear came over him that the unspoken wish might bring the broken body of his son before him before he could escape from the room. He caught his breath as he found that he had lost the direction of the door. His forehead cold with sweat. He felt his way around the table and along the walls until he found himself at the bottom of the stairs with the evil thing in his hand. Even his wife's face seemed to change as he entered the room. It was white and expectant, and to his fear seemed to have an unnatural look upon it. He was afraid of her. Wish, she said in a strong voice. She going a little bit, you know what I mean? she getting a little bit spicy, a little bit sour. Like she turned into some kind of like, the grief is getting to her. She's getting wiry. Anyway, he raised his hand. I wish my son alive again. The talisman, could you imagine it was just like a big like voice in the corner just be like, no. I don't mean to laugh at these. Their son just died, you know what I mean? It's only been 10 days, but like, could you imagine if the talisman was like, girl, I ain't got that much power, girl. I'm not bringing people back from the dead, child. I'll give you 200 pounds. You can wish for 200 pounds again. You want money? Sis, I can do that for you. Talking about bring people alive and stuff. I lost my place, child. No, you ain't getting nobody back, child. Okay. I wish my son alive again. The talisman fell to the floor and he looked at it fearfully. Then he sank into his chair. The old woman with burning eyes walked up to the window and opened the curtains. He sat until he could no longer bear the cold, looking up from time to time at the figure of his wife staring through the window. The candle, which had almost burned to the bottom, was throwing moving shadows upon the room. When the candle finally went out, the old man, with an unspeakable sense of relief at the failure of the talisman, went slowly back to his bed. In a minute afterward, the old woman came silently and laid with no movement beside him. Neither spoke, but lay silently, listening to the tick of the clock. They heard nothing else after that. Nothing else than other normal night sounds. The darkness was depressing, and lying there for some time, building up his courage, the husband took the box of matches and, lighting one, went downstairs for another candle. At the foot of the stairs, the match went out and he stopped to light another. And at the same moment, a knock sounded at the front door. It was so quiet, it could only be heard downstairs, as if the one knocking wanted to keep the coming a secret. The matches fell from his hand. He stood motionless, not even breathing, until the knock was repeated. Then he turned and ran quickly back to his room and closed the door behind him. A third knock sounded through the house. "What's that?" cried the old woman, sitting up quickly. "A rat," said the old man shakily. "Now you know it's not no rat." "A rat. It passed me on the stairs." "Stop lying. He always lying." His wife sat up in the bed listening. A loud knock echoed through the house, getting louder. "It's Herbert," she screamed. "It's Herbert." She ran to the door, but her husband was there before her and, catching her by the arm, held her tightly. "What are you going to do?" he asked in a low, scared voice. "What are you going to do?" "It's my boy, it's Herbert," she cried, struggling automatically. How are you struggling automatically? What does that even mean? Girl, what? I forgot it was 2 miles away. I forgot it was 2 miles away. What are you holding for me? What are you holding me for? Let's go. I must open the door. "For God's sake, don't let it in," cried the old man, shaking with fear. "You're afraid of your own son?" she cried, struggling. "Let me go. I'm coming, Herbert. I'm coming." There was another knock, and another. The old woman, with a sudden pull, broke free and ran from the room. Her husband followed to the top of the stairs and called after she had hurried down. He heard the chain pulled back and the bottom lock open. Then the old woman's voice, desperate and breathing heavily. "The top lock," she cried loudly. "Come down, I can't reach it." But her husband was on his hands and knees, feeling around wildly on the floor in search of the paw. If only he could find it before the thing outside got in. The knocks came very quickly, now echoing through the house, and he heard the noise of his wife moving a chair and putting it down against the door. He heard the movement of the lock as she began to open it, and at that same moment he found the monkey's paw and frantically breathed in his third and last wish. The knocking stopped suddenly, although the echoes of it were still in the house. He heard the chair pulled back and the door opened. A cold wind blew up the staircase, and a long, loud cry of disappointment and pain from his wife gave him the courage to run down to her side and then to the gate. The streetlight opposite shone on a quiet and deserted road. So apparently that's it, ho. I scrolled down thinking it's gonna be something else. That's it. But I do got one thing, because that last sentence threw me for a doozy. Herbert is giving the man of practical magic. This is a Twilight episode. This is a Twilight Zone episode. Interesting. Child, ain't nobody was at the dang on door no more. That could have been anybody. It could have been anybody. It could have been like, you know what I mean? Maybe the wish is true, but they never got to really tell if the wishes were even true. How? Like, go back. Like, can we go back? Like, how about y'all wish for something simple to just even test it? You know what I mean? Just be like, oh, like, wish for something real specific. Like, I wish for a zebra with green eyes, with another zebra riding on the top of it, and also, yeah. And then if that shows up, girl, then you know, okay, this third wish got to be serious. We either gonna wish Herbert back to life or we ain't. Don't be just wishing stuff for no, like, homegirl tripping. It's not adding up. Somebody said, what does Scully think? What do you think? He says, boo, tomatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. Boo, tomato, tomato, tomatoes. But, okay, the last part, they said he ran outside, the knocking stopped. Homegirl was, first of all, Mrs. White been through it since the beginning of this dang on story, child. She was in the kitchen cooking hard, slaving over the dang on stove for meals. And then, you know, this whole thing, she's just keeping this house together. And then she lost her only son. And all because of this man. This man wished for 200 pounds. She ain't had nothing to do with that wish. It's not her fault. She lost her son, child. And Mrs. White is like, now, girl, we lost her. Now, sir. Now, be real. I lost my son 10 days ago, and I still can't shake it. But guess what? We have this monkey paw that apparently is magical, child, from this random man that came, your friend from childhood came and gave us this dried up monkey paw. So what we need to do is go ahead and monkey paw my son back to life. And she's getting a little bit wily, and she's a little weird with it. Maybe got like wide eyes, and she's like waking up in the middle of the night. She ain't got no sleep. Bring my son back to life, please. And Mr. White is like, girl, now you know we ain't finna bring no son back to life when he got caught up in the machinery. And I was the one who had to go down and recognize him only by his clothes, because the rest of his face was all mangled up. So yeah, he was like, I ain't trying to bring back no dang on zombie. But he, you know, his wife was very persistent, and he was like, okay, I'll go wish for it. And he wished for it, and it fell out his hand, and he was like a little weirded out by it. And he went to go put the monkey paw back, child. And somebody was knocking at the door, child. Knocking at my door. Girl. So when they said the knocking part freaks you out a little bit. How can you send me a story? You can send me a story at WillOnAWhim more @gmail.com. WillOnAWhimMore @gmail.com. Yeah, child. I think I actually read this story before. I feel like I've read this before. Yeah, anyway, booze, tomatoes. I feel like I'm using this as a mic instead of like a face thing. Ooh. Child. Yeah, she was going through it. And then how you gonna wish for her son? Maybe she wanted to raise a zombie. Just give her what she need. Give her what she want. You know what I mean? He gonna try to, it's dark. This is the part I was gonna get to. It's dark, so he has to light candles and stuff to get through his house. That nobody can see anything. So his candle went out. So the monkey paw fell out his hand, and it's on the ground. And he's at the top of the stairs. His wife is at the bottom of the stairs trying to open up this lock. She can't reach it, so she's like, "Hey, yo, Mr. White, come down, help me. Like, please, the top lock. I'm trying to see my son." He ain't trying to have all that. He ain't trying to have Frankenstein walk up into his house, girl. So he on the ground pawing around. No pun intended. Pawing around for the monkey paw. He finally finds it as he hears the top lock open up, because Mrs. White was like, "Must I do everything myself?" She got a chair, and lifted herself up to get the top lock. Girl opened the door, ain't nobody was there but a cold breeze. Girls give a fall time. She opened the door, a whole cold breeze came through. Ain't no sun in sight, just a cold breeze. Now imagine her disappointment. And he gonna run outside talking about, he gonna try to save the day. "Oh, I'm so sorry, let's go." Try to console her. But then, shortly after, he runs out onto the street to see if he sees anything. And they mentioned at the very last bit that there's a street light across the street. It's a street light. Huh? So you telling me y'all got street lights in this deserted area? You got street lights, but you gotta walk around in your house like with Lumiere in your hands. Raise a candle, like you. So who's paying the light bill? I think he just ain't paid the light bill. Herbert needs, man, bring Herbert back. He was the only real one. Anyway. Oh, now you wanted to do the voice, and now you want to do the voice. Okay, let me see if y'all, cause I don't want to be reading those stories. Like don't send me no story that's not good, child. Let me see gmail.com. Light a candle, I said fire. I'm crying as y'all said vocals at that one. When I started singing Adele. Girl, vocals where? Well, give me a second, cause I gotta go to this Gmail, child. I set fire to the rain, and I threw us into the flames. Watch it burn as I heard it screaming out your name. Okay, I'm gonna read one of y'all stories. Okay, this one is from Zenobia. Let's go ahead and open this up. It's better be scary, child. I'm reading y'all's stories now. Ooh, child. It's a short one. Okay, we got a little short one. Actually, can I bring it up on my phone? Because I can't see. And I threw us into the flames. Take it away, Scully. Do you know the lyrics? Even not your name. I let it burn my heart as it fell. You rusted. And don't be sending me no dang on don't be sending me no what's the words? Scully is singing, ain't he? Hey, Scully went on tour with Jasmine Sullivan. Scully used to open for Jasmine Sullivan. I can't open this because I don't have Reddit. Oh, here we go. Okay. Girl, scary story number 2. This was sent in by Zenobia. Let's go ahead and stop asking me all these questions. They want me to download the app so bad, Reddit. This one is called People Watching, and it was uploaded 4 days ago, so this better be modern and up to date. This one said, hey, Scully got vocals. Let me make sure I'm not hitting any chords down here. Ooh, child, just looked at my feet. They ashy. Oh, child, that is the spookiest. Imagine my shock and horror when I just showed my feet to myself to move them around. So I don't hit no chords. I just took a shower, so I didn't have time to do my whole routine or whatever because I was like, it's getting late. Anyway, jump scare, child. Do not look at your feet straight out an hour after the shower without putting lotion on, child. Whew, ain't that right? You can't even talk with your ashy bones. Anyway, this one's called People Watching. You used to feel safe in your house. This is a nice neighborhood after all. Everyone knows each other. At least, you thought so. Why did I say it like that? Yeah, I thought so. The old man across the street has never been social. You think you've seen him maybe once when you moved in. That's fine. He's not bothering anyone. To each their own. One night, you glance out the living room window. There's a light on across the street, backlighting an old armchair. You can tell by the silhouette that the old man is sitting there. Okay, silhouette challenge. Hey! Why did that happen? Why does light keep shutting off like that every time I try to make it? Girl, gotta watch my back. Not the Ashanti's feet. Enough, don't talk about Ashanti's feet. That is an inside joke from a very long time ago. Anyway, the old man across the street has never been social. You think you might have seen him once since you moved in. That's fine. He's not bothering anyone. To each their own. One night, you glance at the living room window. There's a light on across the street, backlighting an old armchair. You can tell by the silhouette that the old man is sitting there, just staring out the window. Weird, but to each their own. That would have been it. But the next night, he's sitting there again, staring out the window. You wonder if he sees you. So you wave a little bit. He doesn't react. Maybe his eyesight isn't that great. He's there the next night, every night this week. You check during the day, wondering if he keeps vigil 24/7, but the chair is empty when the sun is up. Once night falls, he's back in the chair, staring. Then the notes start. Scrawled on paper, ripped from a notebook. You look pretty at night. Is it scary to live alone? Don't worry, I'll look out for you. You call the police. The police officer isn't helpful. Wow. Could have guessed that part. Oh, wow, I didn't know that about you. Oh, Scully says that they are for abolishing the police. Oh, you're running for mayor? President? King of the world? Okay, enough. Scully be just pulling my leg. Don't worry, I'll look out. He's leaving messages and stuff. Don't worry, I'll look out for you. You call the police officer isn't helpful. He hasn't technically broken the law, ma'am. Isn't this harassment? You say? Stalking? He's just an old man, the officer says. You should be flattered he's taking a shine to you. You feel like throwing phones across the room, but it was expensive. You feel like throwing the phone across the room, but it was expensive. I know that's right. $1,000 for an iPhone. The officer says to call back if something actually happens. On Halloween night, it does. You decide to do a party last minute. When you return, the front door is off its hinges. The house is trashed, and your mattress is ripped to shreds. You think they are knife marks? The police find footprints. They lead from your front porch to the old man's back door. You feel like screaming at them. I told you so! But they don't set foot inside before you know something's wrong. It's a stench. The old man's in his bedroom. From the looks of it, he's been dead for weeks. Old blood stains indicate it wasn't a natural death. The armchair by the window is empty, but there's a note on the coffee table in the familiar handwriting. Sorry I missed you. Don't worry. I'll see you later. I'll see you later. Girl. Someone says Scully 2024. They want to vote for you. He said he was just joking and that he's not really good at public speaking. Okay, he just said he's still talking. It's too much going on. He just launched into a whole speech. I don't got time for all that. Be quiet. Sis better move. Girl, it's giving werewolf or something. Something's possessed this old man's body. And that's weird. That's creepy. And why would he trash her house if he was into her? Talking about I'm gonna protect you and like you and I like you and all that stuff. Why would you trash homegirl's house? Now I hope she got renter's insurance. You can get renter's insurance through Alliance, which might be affiliated with Geico. If you bundle it with that car insurance, child, you might get a little discount. But if she don't got renter's insurance, it's gonna cost her a lot, especially that mattress. Mattresses cost so much money, and yeah, so she gonna have to replace all that. That's why I'm more concerned about like what happened afterwards. Like the police, like okay, so now what, girl? She got a little message saying that I'm coming back for you. Renee says, he said, I like ya. I can't even say this. Renee said, I like ya. He said, I like ya and I want ya. Why would he say that through them little notes? I got mine from State Farm, 9 USD a month. Okay. Hey, yeah, mine's like 140 a year or whatever. So I think it boils down to like, around that. Oh, Reese's, child. See, it's so far away I can't really see, child. Does it say Reese's really? Where is that comment at? Guess I won't be finding that because I can't see nothing up in there. Okay, we're gonna read another one, a little short story. Oh, I forgot it's on my phone, not on my computer. Okay. We're gonna read these other two little short stories, and then we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna get into another story that we'll like close out with. Okay, so how do I get to it, y'all? All right, another one from Zenobia. This one is called, it was uploaded 3 days ago. And it's called, We Never Open the Door When There's Only One Knock. Right, because why you knocking once? Granddaddy Ghost. I like it and I won't, yeah. Ew. Why they always trash the house? Why can't stalkers just be helpful and clean instead? I know, like, can you get around the toilet and, do all the hard, nasty parts? You know what I mean? Go and, how about take out the trash? You good for nothing but trashing up people's stuff. Somebody said that's a long title. Okay. I'm going to eat the cookies very soon. Somebody begging for me to eat them crumble cookies. Here we go. Please, just let me in. It's getting cold. The voice was familiar. Only older than I remembered. Very close to detail. Layla, please. Using my old nickname was a nice touch as well. I sat on the floor next to the door, my arms wrapped around my legs. Of course, this had to happen to me the week my parents left me alone. They hadn't gone on vacation for years. I practically begged them to get away for a while, for their own good. If I called them, they'd come right back. But I don't think that they would help. Girl, what? I'm going to read that paragraph over because I don't feel like I did that great of a job. It's giving C- when it should have been an A+. So let's go back. Using my old nickname was a nice touch as well. I sat on the floor next to the door, my arms wrapped around my legs. Of course this had to happen to me the week my parents left me alone. They hadn't gone on vacation for years. I practically begged them to go away for a while, for their own good. If I called them, they'd be right back. They'd come right back, but I don't think that would have helped me anyway. Besides, I wasn't an idiot. I heard the knock and I would not open that door. When someone comes to your house, they will ring the bell or knock a few times. Most people like to play it safe and simply use the bell. And then you open the door as you normally would. But never, absolutely never, should you open the door when there's only one knock. It was the very first thing we were told when we moved into this house, into this neighborhood all those years ago. There are a bunch of rumors of people disappearing, suddenly dying after opening their doors though they all supposedly happened before we even lived here. I never believed in it, not even when I was little. This town was simply insane. Most people here a little eccentric and unusual. Well, that's what I believed until I heard my lost sister call for me after the one loud knock at the front door. Please go away, I whispered. I yelled that a little bit. Please go away, I whispered. Even after all those years, I recognized her voice, and when I heard it, I jumped right up, ready to open that door wide, but I knew it wasn't her. I'd looked through the window. There was nobody in our front door. I don't know how much time had passed. I finally grabbed my phone and called Max, who's not only our neighbor, but one of my closest friends. She's here, I said. I knew I wasn't making much sense. I didn't know how to word my thoughts. Who? Where? He answered. Ruby. Silence. What? Max started speaking but stopped. She knocked. That was enough information for him. You didn't open, did you? I shook my head, which, of course, he couldn't see. I'm coming over now, okay? I'm not sure how many minutes passed, but Ruby had stopped asking me to open the door. Hey, Lainey, I don't think the bell is working. I heard Max. Maybe they screwed with it? I swallowed. You can knock. There was silence for a little while, followed by a loud thud. When I didn't open the door, the sound of Max started shouting loudly. Open the freaking door! His voice became louder and louder until it hit a frequency that almost made my eardrums explode. I didn't move. I didn't speak, and finally the doorbell rang and the voice became silent. Slowly, I got up to the door to look outside. This time, it really was him. The last time I saw her, we had the biggest fight of our lives. This is like a break. Someone said, wait, that ain't Max. Yeah, long lost sister, child. Okay, so, yeah, good for her, right? She must be black. What's her name? We don't know her name yet. But she got a friend named Max, and her parents ain't been on vacation in a while, so, the parents thing might be a indication of the blackness. She like, hey, mom, y'all should go on vacation. It'd be good for y'all. They're like, nah, we ain't going on no vacation. We just trying to save money. Anyway, it's a break, so now I guess it's like jumping to a new scene. The last time I saw, I guess it's like, now they're talking. The last time I saw her, we had the biggest fight of our lives. We were sitting in the living room with tea that had already turned cold. I don't open up about Ruby often, but hearing her voice today really messed me up. And all because of stupid Jack. I rolled my eyes. Max smiled. Boy? I shook my head and laughed. Jack was a stuffed toy in the shape of a pumpkin. Scully thought that was funny. I'd never told Max about I had never told Max about that fight. In fact, nobody but my parents knew about it. I loved that darn thing. Won it at a Halloween carnival. When Ruby saw it, she begged me to give it to her. She cried for hours because she hadn't won it. And even when my parents said she'd buy her another toy, she wouldn't stop. Maybe subject verb agreement, but also subject agreement. Parents and then it's parents and then they'd. Even when my parents said they'd buy her another toy, she wouldn't stop. She wanted mine. Well, she wanted to be just like you. It's sweet. I nodded. Ruby was a year younger than me, but she used to act as if we were twins. She wore my clothes, played the same sports, and always wanted to hang out with me and my friends. When I think about it now, I think it was pretty adorable. Of course, back then I found it insufferable. I sighed. For days I took Jack everywhere with me, even to the bathroom. It was probably just out of pettiness, but that's what became everything to me. So when I came home from school one afternoon and saw that Ruby had cut it in half, I screamed at her like never before. She only looked at me with big teary eyes. Max put his hand on my shoulder. Come on, Lainey. Siblings fight. It's normal. I saw you with her though, and you were a dang good big sister. I nodded. Of course I knew it was just some stupid fight between kids, but if I could turn back time, I'd give her every stupid toy I owned. There's a lot of curse words in here. I'm like amending the whole thing. Someone said Jack Jarlow. Jack Jarlow? Jack-o'-lantern Harlow. You got anything to say? That's Jack-o'-lantern Harlow. Anyway, okay, girl, she's like, I would give her every toy I owned. Anyway, this happened 5 years ago. Ruby would be 16 now. My parents have tried everything for years to find her. I believe the only reason we still live here is that they never entirely gave up their hope that she'd come back home one day. Maybe now she was, just in a different way. Do you think I'm losing my mind, Max? He raised an eyebrow. I think you lost that a while ago, he joked. No, I'm serious. I mean, it's not possible that I actually heard her earlier. He shrugged. I mean, you did hear a knock. I don't think it was actually her, though. Max and I used to make fun of the superstition. When we were younger, before Ruby disappeared, we once played Ding Dong Ditch. After a few houses, Max decided to knock once at the door of our neighbor's Mrs. Telsky. Someone saw us though, and Max got the biggest lecture of his life from his grandpa. Like, it was a really big deal. My parents weren't happy either, but Max was grounded for 2 months, during which his grandpa told him all sorts of horror stories from the town. I don't think it was her either, but I do think it was mimicking her, or trying to, I said. For what it's worth, I think it was smart that you didn't open the door. Maybe we're all just a little crazy, but better safe than sorry, right? Okay, we're moving on to another. Somebody said, over the toy. Did she die? So she's lost. It's a long lost sister. I guess we don't know, but maybe she ran away. We don't know. They were looking for her, the parents. It's been years. She would have been 16 now. So and that story was like from years ago. 5 years ago, over 5 years ago, she said. So they been without her for like at least 5 years. Anyway. Okay. Max offered to stay the night, and I immediately said yes. We got out the air mattress and watched movies until I started to hear him snoring. Girl, I'm getting a little creeped out because I'm like in my house. I'm in my apartment. It's like dark in here. I'm a little scared because it's like they heard a knock at the door and I'm in here by myself, child. Scully, you gonna protect me? Dang, that was a quick and swift no. Well, screw you. Screw me back. Scully. Anyway, girl, they watching movies and stuff. We got out the air mattress and watched movies until I started to hear him snoring. The good thing about Max was I never felt awkward around him. He regularly stayed over since we were little, especially often after Ruby was gone. Having him here really helped against the silence. My mind became easier and my body heavier. Real thoughts started to mix in with the dreams. I was beginning to fall asleep. And then there was another knock. It came from the front door downstairs, but I heard it loud and clearly. My heart started racing just like it did this afternoon. Max, did you hear that? I whispered, but he didn't answer. Layla, it's dark. Please. Layla, it's dark. Please come and get me. Ruby's new voice cried from outside. Max, please tell me you hear this. I looked over at him, but he didn't move. Finally, I collected the courage to get up and turn on the lights. Max. The eyes of my friend were wide open, but he didn't speak. He didn't move. I ran over to him to try to shake him, but his whole body was stiff. Only his eyes moved. I ran. Let me in, the voice from downstairs screamed. I didn't know what to do anymore. Max was clearly awake, but it seemed as if something was holding him back. Almost as if he was sleeping, having sleep paralysis, but with his eyes open. They were pulling me away, Layla. Please, to help me. I don't know what happened then, but I immediately jumped up and ran downstairs. Some kind of instinct kicked in. Maybe it was her. Maybe it was her. Maybe I could pull her back inside, but if this was really Ruby, was she also the one doing this to Max? My hands touched the cold door handle, moving almost as if I was in a trance. I have Jack. They fixed him, Layla. We don't need to fight anymore. Those words pierced through my body and woke something up inside of me. I stepped away from the door and walked back upstairs, passing my room where Max was lying still. But I didn't stop. I walked to the next room, Ruby's old bedroom. Somebody said Vecna. Oh, child. Ooh, child. Not Vecna. Y'all tripping, bro. But I didn't stop. I walked to the next room. Right. She black. I think she black. Ruby's old bedroom. Everything there looked just the way it did when she was still here. They need to move on. Turn that thing into an office, ho. Anyway, my parents could never change it. Everything was still the same, and Jack was still placed on her bed where I put it 5 years ago, and I'd sewn him back together. After I had sewn him back together, they almost got me. That's the end of the story. Woo, child. That was the end of that story, child. I be wanting these to go further. Like, I don't want it to end like that. Like, what happened? I want her to see the ghost. I want them to describe the ghost. I want to see what happens. I don't want her to just escape the ghost, like, just by the, hair on her chin. I'm trying to go back up to see what y'all was saying. What y'all had was saying. Somebody said, this so spooky. Vecna, I think Ruby died. You think Ruby died? Here's what I think. I think that, girl, I think they need to move her. I think she need to call her parents and stop playing games. She playing games with Max and Ruby, Ruby and Max, when she should be calling her parents because she hearing voices from her sister and knocks at the door. Hello, why are you sitting there playing games talking about, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. No. Dial 486-992-8765. I just made that up, but I'm sure that's her parents' number. And get them to come back from vacation straight away. And how about you move? Don't be inviting other people up in here. I think Max was still Max. You know what I mean? He was just playing the long game. I mean, it was still like the ghost, but it was playing the long game. The long con. They can come back from Disney cruises or Fiesta Salsa cruise or whatever old people be going on. Ruby and Max from Dragon Tales. Was they also named Max and Ruby? I was talking about Max and Ruby's, the bunnies. Max and Ruby. Hey, Ruby and Max. Yeah, hey, Max and Ruby. Ruby and Max. Max and Ruby. Ruby and Max. They need a Jersey Club mix of Max and Ruby's theme song, and they also need a bounce theme song remix, and I need a house music remix, and I need one of them South African like remixes as well. Cause I will be busting it down in the club. You too? Wow, Ruby said he will bust it down. Ruby, I just called you Ruby. Scully, come back. Scully said he's Ruby now. Scully is going. Ruby is here. Who is you? Get out of here. I'm finna call my parents so they can come back from vacation. Scully got possessed, child. Oh, he said he was just kidding. You so funny. He was just kidding. He's just playing. Child. Okay. Let's take a break. How about we take a whole break and we're gonna come back and we're gonna try some crumble cookies and then we will maybe get into another story. I'm gonna do my little bit of research. Okay, I'll be right back. Actually, I didn't want to do that transition, so I'm going to this one. And we're back. Yeah, we back. Give me 1 second. Girl, I didn't know I didn't loop the music on that transition, so that y'all was just sitting in silence for a little bit. I'm sorry. I don't know if you were. Somebody said Will sure is taking his time. Girl, I had to go to the bathroom. I would wash my hands. I had to debrief. Girl, I had to adjust my eyes back to the light. Give me 1 second. Let me turn on this other light. Girl, turn it back on. There we go. Okay. All right. We here and we live. I have some cookies here. Some crumbled cookies. The light is so warm on this one light. Let me turn that back. There we go. Girl, okay, crumble cookies, child. Yeah, I got the someone said this headband is so cute. Period. You wanna try it on? Scully, move your hair back. Scully, stop. Push your hair out the way. Okay. Oh, Scully, you look so cute. Get over here, Scully. Babe. Stop. Oh, God, Scully. Scully, I'm uncomfortable, Scully. Huh? You like this? You comfortable? Okay. Well, I guess I'll compromise for you. Oh, my God, this hurts. Anything for my man. Anything for my man Scully. This finger is in my veins, ho. Enough. You want to try some cookies? Okay. Crumble cookies, child. This has gotten out of hand. Truly it has. But I was in the area, like I drove past the crumble cookies and I was like, you know what? In the intermission for tomorrow's video, I'm going to get these cookies. So I ordered some cookies and I had them delivered today. It's last week's flavors. So crumble cookies, like they do different flavors every single week. So I don't know how they're keeping up with that, girl. I would be stressed out if I had to come up with five new flavors every week. How are they doing that? They have to be like recycling flavors. But I got just these, child. Can you see? Oh, dang, oh. Dang, you know what? I wonder if I can change this live. Can I do that live? I think I can change. You know what? It's not gonna work, so I'm just gonna bring it back up to the quality. I don't want to lose the quality. Anyway, I don't remember what let me look up real quick because I don't know what these are. I'll show them to you. There's this one. Wow. Some chocolate brownie type of stuff. I need a napkin. Scully, can you go get me a napkin? It's on the it's in the cabinet. Scully, stop acting like you can't walk. Scully, why your eyes open, but your body not moving? Like Max. Like Max from that story. Well, hold the cookies real quick. Don't drop the cookies. I'm gonna go get a napkin real quick. Don't drop the cookies, Scully. Hold it. Scully, hold the cookies. Dang. Okay. Scully, don't drop the cookies. Oh my God. Anyway, the exposure is such that like this napkin is just like, it's too white. You know what I mean? Like I can't show you stuff properly, but let me look up what the flavors were. Cause I don't even know what this is. I could just taste it and guess. Maybe I should guess and see if I know what the flavor is. Yeah, that's what I'll do. So first up, we have this cookie. We're gonna try this one first. To me, now I mean, this just looks like a regular chocolate chip cookie. Let's go ahead and taste it. This better be good. This is a thick old cookie. All right. Okay. I've had better quality cookies. Like this feels. It's not a bad cookie, but I've definitely had better quality cookies. Like I had some cookies from Funny Face Bakery in New York City. Those were really great cookies. This is just seems like. It seems like commercialized cookie, but like a step above. Okay. The chocolate is pretty good. It's giving prop. Like a fake cookie on set. Anybody want a cookie? Me in the background. It's kind of good though. Let me take another bite. Huh? Oh, you want a piece? Go ahead. Come on now. Must I do all the work? Open your mouth and eat it. Get over here. Why are you so far out the screen? I'm sorry. I've been a little too mean to you today. I'm going to be nicer. Here you go. You allergic to chocolate? Oh, it's not my bad. You got your EpiPen? You already dead, so what am I supposed to do? You already dead. You can't die from it. I don't know how you're allergic to stuff and can die. Again. Girl, what is this? You can barely see it because the exposure is so bad. But what is this? It's a Krispy Kreme. It's a Rice Krispy Kreme. Rice. It's the rice cake. Hold on now, because my brain really did just stutter. What is the name of these things? What are these called? When it's like marshmallow and Rice Krispies? What is this called? They just making anything. Rice Krispie cookie? Is that what they're called? Rice Krispies? Rice Krispies. This is not a cookie. I want my money back. This is not a cookie. This is a Rice Krispie. Those are literally two different things. Rice Krispie treats. There we go. Okay, this better taste good for. And oh, it better not taste bad. I threw this down twice onto these other cookies and I messed up the other cookie twice. But absolutely not. That was not even good. That was not. Go ahead. Yeah, won't even open his mouth for it. That was bad, actually. Sorry to say it, but it wasn't that great. Okay, now we have this one. I don't know what it is, but I just threw the Rice Krispie treat onto it, so it's a little messed up. It's a little mushed up. But you can kind of see. I'm gonna get the exposure right one of these days. I'm gonna figure it out. It's really hard to expose for like black skin on cameras. Cameras were not developed with black people in mind. And so it's like you either have nice looking black skin and forfeit like stuff like this. I'm sure there's a balance out there somewhere, but I'm still searching for it. Like you see how the white is like so white? Or you have like good whites and then I'm like dark as heck. Like you can't even see me really. Anyway, it looks like cinnamon swirl, maybe. So I'm gonna taste it. I'm gonna get all three parts because there's like cookie, icing, and like some sugar thing. Okay, that's pretty good. That right there is pretty dang on good. Go ahead. He don't want no more. He said crumbled cookies is trash. This right here is tasty. I think it's like a cinnamon swirl cookie. It does a good job with the flavor profile to make that apparent. The cookie is good by itself, and the icing isn't overwhelming. Like it's not all icing. And the texture of the like brown sugar stuff is not interfering with the overall experience. So they said, why you smacking? Because that's how I eat. That's a thought for you. That's like, wow, what a discovery. That's how people literally eat. Like a lot of people. I'm smacking because that's how I eat, girl. That's how I eat. How do you eat? You eat quiet? You eat very, very quiet like a mouse? You struggling to not make any noise every time you chew something? It's all in my beard. Oh no. Look, it's gonna get out. Get out. I think it's out. I would eat this whole thing. 10 out of 10. On a scale of 1 to 20. It's still good, y'all. Scully is ready to get out the camera. Send him to bed. He already sleep. He sleep like this. He sleep sitting up like this. Okay. I think this is butterscotch. You know, like a Butterfinger cookie. Cause there's butterscotch on there, maybe, or maybe it's like peanut butter. Does Butterfinger have peanut butter in it? I think so. There's like a crushed peanut butter layer in toffee. Anyway, I'm gonna taste the cookie first without the topping. It's like a peanut butter flavored cookie. And I think it's chocolate. This might be like, yeah. Yummy, yummy. Okay. That's really good. I don't usually like peanut butter like that. I think as I'm getting older, I'm liking peanut butter. But girl, this is good. And the cookie is like soft and chewy. I'm into it. Yes, ma'am. I would eat that whole thing too. This right here is the devil. Yeah, the devil. Right on top of Halloween. Because that was truly scary, truly spooky. That flavor profile. And then we have this one. I don't know what this is, but this is looking like, what are those Tootsie Rolls? It looks like a Tootsie Roll on there. And can we be honest about Tootsie Rolls? Who in here like Tootsie Rolls? Scully said he liked Tootsie Rolls. Tootsie Rolls, you can Tootsie Roll your behind out the door. Then. We won't eat Tootsie Rolls in here. Who in here really actually liked Tootsie Rolls? It was like, if you were a kid, it was either Tootsie Rolls or those Fruities. I think they were called Fruities. Little tiny Fruities that you like rolled up. You used to, but now, I know, like now I'm like, I would never eat a Tootsie Roll. You? Tootsie Rolls pop. Tootsie Rolls taste good with Takis. Look, even Scully's sad about that. Scully don't even like what you just said. They're decent, it just isn't my first choice. I feel like I'm around that waters too. I'm in those waters too. Like I would eat one if I was at like a Halloween party and the girls were handing out Tootsie Rolls. And you would eat it if you ran out of Fruities. I was a Fruities girl. I wanted the flavored like fruity one, child. Give me those Fruities. I need to buy those. Where can I buy those? You think I can find those on like Amazon? Scully has an AARP card. We didn't expect any more from him. They said you got an AARP card. Scully said he's 16. 16? Oh, you better have been joking. Right, you better have been joking. Because on your Tinder profile, it said 29. Because I'll kick you out immediately. Don't play with me. He's too funny. That's not even that funny. I'm scared. Anyway, okay, so we got this child. Yeah, right, wait a minute. Now, somebody said he's 16 BC. They said you 16 BC with an AARP card. He don't like that. He wanna go to bed. Anyway, let me go ahead and taste. Oh. Wow. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Ben 10. Girl, That is tasty. It is a very deeply flavored chocolatey base. This top is like a very moussey, very light cream. It's not like a heavy buttercream. And it just works well. Mm-hmm. That right there is good. Yeah. I would hand those out to people at like a party. You don't like chocolate? I was definitely like a anti-chocolate girl when I was younger. Like I was like, I don't want no double fudge chocolate on a chocolate. Like, get it out of my face. Me at the birthday party in kindergarten at the skating rink. Get that stuff out of my face. Come around with a chocolate cake. I don't want that. But now, girl, I'll take it. I'll take two. Don't like chocolate. Gasp! I love chocolate. I love chocolate now. I was in what? San Francisco, was it? Girl, stop leaning. The more you lean, the more uncomfortable I'll be getting. Cause it's like, why would you eject that off your head like that? Now you know what? I should pick you up by your lace front. Yeah, I should pick you up by your lace front. Put it back on. Now you got an attitude. Oh my God. Anyway, I was in San Francisco and I think there is like a chocolate factory. What is it? Ghirardelli is there. And I was having the time of my life, girl. I was getting hot chocolate, this and that. It was so fun. Now when you go into Crumble, sometimes they have special flavors like I can close this, child. They have like, what do they call it? Secret flavors or mystery. I think it's called mystery flavor. This was the mystery flavor, child. I'm gonna drop it out the box. I already know. I can tell. I can feel it in my bones. I don't know what this is, but it looked fruity. Sorry about the exposure. I know it's like so white you can barely see it, but when it's back here without the... Girl, what is this? Oh man, I think it's cotton candy. Stop making things taste like cotton candy. We don't want cotton candy toothpaste, cotton candy milk, cotton candy cake, cotton candy candies. I guess cotton candy is just cotton candy candies. We don't want that. Cotton candy bubblegum. I hate like cotton candy flavor stuff. It's not tasty. Stop it. Yeah, and Scully agrees. Somebody said, don't eat that nasty-ish, Will. It's not even nerds. Are these nerds? Oh my God, not nerds. Not nerds on top of cotton candy. I literally jumped. Wait. I'm not even being dramatic when I say that was like a jump scare to my whole internal organs. To all of my internal organs. When I say my body came, like I literally had like one long shiver that went down my body. It tastes like, I think it was because I had, in my brain said it was going to be like cotton candy, and then it absolutely not cotton candy. And so I think my brain was like shook by that. That added to the kind of disgust of it. And I know people be like spitting cookies out in their reviews of crumble cookies and being like, ew, that's so nasty. But this is not something I would eat, girl. I'm not putting this in my mouth, in my body. It smells like cotton candy. It tastes like sherbet. You know how you would get sherbet and it would be like 3 different flavors, maybe like strawberry, strawberry, like watermelon, mango. But when you get to the end of it or you leave it out too long, it melts and it kind of all just mixes together. That's what it tastes like. It's strawberry lemonade. That's what it probably is. It smells sour. It's way too sweet. And it just don't taste good. That is not good. Let me take my little spooky drink, Tara. Girl, knock it back. Take it to the head. That was not tasty. But let me go ahead and look up the flavors of these. I think it probably is strawberry limeade. That was not good. And the guy was like, when I ordered them, he was like, "You sure?" Why you say I'm sure? Why you say you should? Am I sure? Like that? You sure you want that? Yeah. Crumble flavors of the week, child. Tastes like new cavities. Please don't say that. Does it tell you what the flavors are? They sure do. They got a whole thing on the thing. They got a whole video for it. For that cookie. You can barely see it. Okay, so this one is peanut butter crisp featuring Butterfinger. Hey, featuring Butterfinger, featuring Nicki Minaj. Then this one is chocolate malt featuring Tootsie Roll. Hey! This one is literally just classic Krispies bar, Rice Krispies. Oh, it's in my nose. It went to my nose, child. I want to taste it again because I forgot the flavor profile. That's so gross. Why they keep selling that? And that was strawberry limeade. That's nasty. Featuring nerds. Why y'all put nerds on there? And then you get a mystery cookie. A mystery cookie is just whatever. Child, I guess my mystery cookie was this swirl situation. But they don't tell you which one it is. What's the mystery cookie, huh? It could be anything. It's this one. This one was good. I'll take another bite of this one. Gladly. I'm out. I'm sitting here at the finest restaurant in DC almost. Enjoying my meal. Yeah. Girl, I got a little cookie. Ooh, not cookie in my shirt. In my beard. Child. Nerds on cookies is incredibly out of pocket. I know that's right. Girl, I'm gonna eat these later. I know it's not. I can't believe, dude. Well, like, what would happen to somebody's body if they ate all 6 of these, like, in one sitting? Like, how much sugar is in there? I want to know. I want to see it, like on that episode of That's So Raven when they was like redefining the cafeteria space and they brought in like all these cool restaurants into their cafeteria, but then everybody was eating. That episode was fat phobic. Now that I think about it. Looking at it with my 2022 vision, girl, I think there was some fat phobia that they kind of to make a point. They had like a lot of fat phobia going on in there. I'm sick of you. Yeah, I said it. I'm sick of you. And why is brownie cookie on my dang old couch? Anyway, I'm gonna transition one more time, and we're gonna finish this thing out with another story. Let me see if the girls have been. Let's see. I'm not being mean to Scully. Scully being mean to me, y'all. You see all this? He the one who be cold. I give him a house, or food to eat. He don't require much. It goes right through him. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'll give him clothes if he want clothes. He prefers not to wear any. You know what I mean? Guests come over. He's, you know, fully naked. And I'm going to show you something right now that, you know, maybe he's not too comfortable with me showing y'all this, but I have to show you. Because, you know, this is just who he is. So this is his lower body. And this right here is broken a little bit. Like, he broke. And I've been nursing him back to health, but he don't want to sit straight. This part like kind of broke off, you see? And I've been trying to help him, but he keep bopping around and stuff. So, and this is his feet, like, oh snap. This is his feet and his knees. You can hear his knees cracking. You hear that? Yeah. It's because I keep telling him to go to the what's that place, Scully, I'll be telling you to go to? The orthopedics? No. What's them people that crack backs and stuff? To get your back spine aligned? Bone cracking, y'all. And I've been telling him, I'll pay for the treatment. I can put you on my insurance. He don't want to listen. And now look at his ankles and stuff. Like his ankles is. Why your ankles sound like that, Scully? Oh, it's okay. Come here. It's okay. Yeah, close your mouth. Yeah, it's okay. You'll be okay. We're gonna get you over to the chiropractor. We're gonna get you over to the chiropractor? Yeah? Okay. Okay, all right. Now you stay right there. We're gonna transition into our final spooky, scary stories. And then, don't be looking at me like that. Just look straight. We'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and finish this thing out today. He needs WD-40. Do you know what that is? Okay, I'll be right back. I'm sorry, I ran out of transition, so you're gonna get the same one again.
You walking too fast. I never seen Uncle Myers do that. And I never seen him with their wig. But it's cool. So you Javen, why you wanna wear the wig? You like a Mikael Myers.
Mikael?
Yes, that's not Michael. That's that's Mikael Myers. That's like Grandma Myers. You walking too fast. I never seen Uncle Myers do that. And I never seen him with their wig. But it's cool. So you Javen, why you wanna wear the wig? You like a Mikael Myers.
Mikael?
Yes, that's not Michael. That's that's Mikael Myers. That's like Grandma Myers. You walking too fast. I never seen Uncle Myers do that. And I never seen him with their wig. But it's cool. So you Javen, why you wanna wear the wig? You like a Mikael Myers.
Mikael?
Yes, that's not Michael. That's that's Mikael Myers. That's like Grandma Myers. You walking too fast. I never seen Uncle Myers do that. And I never seen him with their wig. But it's cool. So you Javen, why you wanna wear the wig? You like a
Anyway, Miko Myers. Why you walking so fast? You walking too fast. I ain't never seen Michael Myers do that. Why you walking so fast? That's Grandma Myers. You're not Michael Myers. It's Mikael Myers. I need to figure out who the girl is behind the camera. That's who I want to know. Girl, okay, let's get into these final stories. Let's see. We're gonna do this last one that because the Zenobia, thank you for sending those last two because they were really good. We're gonna do this last one that you sent me. You said 3 in a row. I know that's right. 3 in a row. Yeah, we're gonna do this last one. Oh, this one kind of a long one. I'm gonna have a whole headache from them dang crumble cookies. That's the spookiest story of all tonight. I watched the Go DeMarcus documentary today. Huh? Go DeMarcus, you know what to do. Go DeMarcus, you know what to do. I'm giving professional right now with this light spotlight. And I'm telling you, I'm not going nowhere. You're the best man. I can't even look at it. You're the best man. It's giving Dream Girls. I've ever known. There's no way I could ever go. No way. No way. I'm living without you. I'm not living without you now. Is it living or leaving? Like, where are they going? I'm not living without you or leaving without you? I'm not leaving without you. I don't wanna be free. Okay, anyway. Girl, let's get into it. It's giving, where were you at 3:46 Tuesday morning? Where were you at 3:46 Tuesday morning? Sleep? Oh, okay. Right. Me talking to myself, me coming up with whole stories in my own head and just playing about on camera. Can I navigate to the, okay, here we go. Y'all ready? This one is called Monster in the Woods. Right. I know that's right. Because if I was a monster, I would be in the woods too. We need to stop mystifying the woods. I think that's a trope of capitalism. It's like, let's demystify the woods because we don't want the girlies knowing that they could live off the land. You know what I mean? Let's mystify the woods. And that's not demystify. Because we don't want the girls like camping out and stuff. We need them to be in the, you know, we need to be have them in the shoe boxes in the apartment complexes downtown with the view of all the other buildings. Anyway, the monster in the woods. I had been running for hours, the sun having set long ago. The moon was now glistening above the treetops, its silver rays beaming through the leaves. It still gave little light to the dark forest. Right, it gave light. Hey, it gave light to the forest, period. It was giving light. It still gave a little light to the dark forest, and I was blindly dashing through the branches and bushes. Dead leaves and fallen branches crunched underneath my boots, and a few times my feet would stumble over a fallen log or a hidden hole. Huh? But I ran, because every time I showed any sign of stopping or slowing, I heard it. It was lumbering after me, tearing its way through the trees in its pursuit, so I couldn't stop, I couldn't slow, because then it would be upon me. I had been running for so long that my body felt numb. My lungs no longer burned for air, and my legs no longer pulsed with energy. I had passed the point of exhaustion, and pure fear induced adrenaline in what kept my body moving. Child, what is going on? Already, straight out the gate. Straight out the gate. We in the middle of it. And Scully is asleep. Officially asleep. Good night, baby. Anyway, I didn't know where I was running or what lay ahead of me in the shadows of the forest. My sight was useless, and I could navigate only with touch. The blackness of the woods was swallowing, and every tree, log, branch, and hole I crashed into only discovered by the touch of my hands. The thing had wandered into my camp just before dusk, and we sat watching each other. I think it was startled as much as I was, and our eyes locked in a stunning embrace. Then it screamed. I took off running in the direction of what I thought was the road. I didn't hike that deep into the woods out of inexperience and fear of getting lost. Well, that happened anyway. The creature had ignored the raw beef that I had left behind the campfire. Oh, come on! Raw stinky meat? Why would you leave out? You is inexperienced. You inexperienced. You said that right. You correctly identified yourself as an inexperienced hiker. How you gonna camp out with raw beef hanging out in the back of your campsite, child? That you try to attract the bears. Now I was feeling sorry for you because you was running through the woods like you was in heat or something. And you was and you was in heat and like Luke James or who else? Let's see who would have me in heat. Luke James, child. Maybe like John Legend when his first album came out. Ooh, I was in heat, child. You running that around in heat like John Legend from his first album, or like Luke James is at the other side of the woods and you running through crawling trying to get to it. Girl, this is your fault. You shouldn't have left that roast beef out. You shouldn't have left the beef out. Oh, now you got this thing crawling after you. Now, where did the story go? Okay. Girl, I took off running in the direction of what I thought was the road. Anyway, okay, the creature had ignored the raw beef that I had left out beside the campfire. I can't not get over that. And its focus was squarely on me. What could be fresher than meat that still had blood pumping through it? So it chased after me, grunting and snoring as it did. Well, I guess you could find solace in that. You know what I mean, solace? At least, you're better than raw meat. You're better than, like, raw beef. I was sure I had twisted both of my ankles. And I'm sure, double ankle twist. And I'm sure any bearskin exposed was covered in cuts and bruises. But on I went. The horror behind me being enough to keep me going. It was when the ground disappeared below me that I finally stopped. I fell into darkness and I didn't feel it when I coiled with the earth or collided with the earth. Birds were singing somewhere above me and sunlight shone its way through my eyelids. I awoke at the bottom of a small creek bed, the water barely a trickle. The sky above me was clear of clouds and the brilliant sun, it cast its warm glow over my cheeks. I lay there for some time, feeling the warm rays upon my skin. Then the horror of the previous night invaded my tranquility. I sat up with a start and immediately vomited from the motion. My head spun from the sudden movement, and it hurt to breathe, and the world danced around me. I admired the purple swollen stubs at the end of my legs, my ankles so bruised that I was sure it would be impossible to take my shoes off. My legs were littered in deep gashes and cuts. Enough! We get it, girl. We get it. Ho, you've been running through the woods, sis. Let's move on. You cut and bruised up and you fell into a pit. Like, we get it. She gotta keep going. Oh, I got gashes on my bruised ankles and I can't take my shoes off because my ankle's too swollen. Oh my God, my eyes must be bruised. I can't breathe. We already heard that at the beginning of the story, child. We heard that. Okay, anyway. As the world is about, okay, gashes and cuts and yellow bruises coated every area not covered in blood. While my body fought back, I forced myself to turn my head and look around. The ditch I was in was a tight one, and I'm sure it was nearly impossible to even see in daytime. No one walking nearby would even know I was here. And even if I could scream, I'm sure no one was around to hear it. I collapsed back into the rocks and mud, closing my eyes and breathing slowly. Every inch of my body hurt, and I had the depressing feeling that I was going to die out here. I couldn't walk. My arms were too battered to crawl. Oh my God, girl, we get it, sis. You hurt. Now what? We on the final story, child. And we get it. She bruised up. Beat up from the floor up. My eyes flew open as I heard a twig snap from somewhere overhead. Something was getting closer and it was large. I could hear it snapping branches and logs as it approached. I could hear it grunting and snorting. It was back. The thing from last night was back. I could feel my eyes start to water and my racing heart pounded against my ribcage. You got one of those. Anyway, whoa, are you okay? A man's voice said from above me, and I could feel small pebbles bounce off my head and shoulders. The man carefully maneuvered me down the side of the pit. How he maneuver you down the side of the pit? Not up the side of the pit. Anyway, I'm like, what's he doing? He putting you down further in there, girl? Yeah, watch out. And kind brown eyes. Oh, never. Sorry, missed the first sentence. He had a bushy brown beard and kind brown eyes. Okay, Sasquatch. He wore a black knitted beanie. Oh, they in Portland. And a green plaid shirt. Yep, Portland, Oregon. He surveyed my damaged body and let out a sharp whistle. You've been through hell, haven't you, kid? He mumbled, stroking his beard in thought. My tears of horror had turned to tears of relief as I gazed up at my savior. So I said, not Portland, yeah, he in Portland, child. Brown beard, brown bushy beard, brown eyes, plaid shirt, kind eyes. Yeah. Okay, anyway, where we at? I gazed up at my savior. This man was probably the most beautiful man I had ever seen. Okay, monster going wow. And I wished I could thank him. My mouth gaped like a fish, moving open and shut with no sound escaping. Take it easy, buddy. You're with me now. Everything is gonna be all right. I saw a flash of something dark over the man's eyes and his lips curled into a wide, toothy smile. You're with me now, he said again, and his hand reached up and wrapped around my throat. And that's it. Ciao. It got her, child. Yeah, because it was grunting and snoring and stuff and came up to the ditch. So why would you think he was anything else but the monster that maybe that's the point of the story. The story is that those bushy beard, brown-eyed, plaid shirt wearing men over in Portland are the real monsters in the woods. Oh, God just spilled all this water on me. Maybe that's the point, child. So I said, ain't no you're with me. Yeah, she's like, nah, I'll stay in this ditch, child. But no, he got her. Or just like that, child, around the neck. And she was like she was like a little, into it. She was like, I like, I'm into, he kind of cute, you know what I mean? But I can't talk right now, so just wait till get me home, bathe me, or I'll bathe myself, or you could bathe me, you know what I mean? Or, give me some water, give me a few days vocal rest. I'll be back to, normal. Maybe we could go to Applebee's or whatever they got in Portland. Maybe some like farm to table situation in the mountains, and we could get this thing popping. But no, it turned out to be some grunting, snorting pig. Why is there always like a snorting, grunting pig in the woods? Horror movies love that. I was watching Lost, and that's like one of the main things that keeps happening is like these warthogs would like run through the thing, and it'd be a jump scare every time in the woods. It's given I'm in love with the monster. In love with the monster inside of my head. Out of my bed. You think I'm crazy, well that's not fair. Whoa, whoa. Hogs be in the woods? That was a bootleg monster. Okay, let me check if anybody else sent me some stories. I do have other stories. Oh, we got some more entries. Okay, this is Coco. Okay, Coco sent a story. I'm gonna read it. Okay. Is this the story right here? It's called Bedtime. Child. Okay, we're gonna read Bedtime. My Google is talking in there. Or is it Ruby? Child, Ruby and Max up in there. Or is it Layla or whoever they were talking about? Okay, we also got this scary story. Let's see. The one that Coco sent me was pretty long. Okay, I'm gonna get into it, and if we don't like it halfway through, we could go through. We could skip it, but it's a pretty long one. Let's see. It's called Bedtime. Please read it. Okay, this is Coco's story, child. You ready? Oh, I forgot he's asleep. Bedtime, and it's better not be having no crazy stuff in here. Bedtime is supposed to be a happy event for a tired child. For me, it was terrifying. While some children might complain, I'm already shaking in my boots. Children? Kids? Girl, shivers down my spine. I'm scared of kids. While some children might complain about being put to bed before they have finished watching a film or playing with their favorite video game, when I was a child, nighttime was something to truly fear. Somewhere in the back of my mind, it still is. As someone who is trained in the sciences, I cannot prove that what happened to me was objectively real, but I can swear that what I experienced was genuine horror. A fear which in my life, I'm glad to say, has never been equaled. I will relate it to you all now as best as I can. Make of it what you will, but I'll be glad to just get it off my chest. Okay, now let's get into it. I can't remember exactly when it started, but my apprehension towards falling asleep seemed to correspond with my being moved into a room of my own. I was 8 years old at the time, and until then I had shared a room quite happily with my older brother. And it's perfectly understandable for a boy 5 years my senior. My brother eventually wished for a room of his own, and as a result, I was given the room at the back of the house. To the back! Me to any kid that I see. Get back there. It was a small, narrow, yet oddly elongated room, large enough for a bed and a couple of chests of drawers, but not much else. I really couldn't complain because even at that age, I understood that we did not have a large house, and I had no real cause to be disappointed as my family was being loving and caring. It was a happy childhood during the day. A solitary window looked out onto our back garden, nothing out of the ordinary. But even during the day, the light which crept into the room seemed almost hesitant. As my brother was given a new bed, I was given the bunk beds, which we used to share. While I was upset about sleeping on my own, I was excited at the thought of being able to sleep in the top bunk, which seemed far more adventurous to me. From the very first night, I remember a strange feeling of unease creeping slowly from the back of my mind. I lay on the top bunk, staring down at my action figures and cars strewn about across the green-blue carpet. As imaginary battles and adventures took place between the toys on the floor, I couldn't help but feel that my eyes were being slowly drawn towards the bottom bunk, as if something was there moving in the corner of my eye. Something which did not wish to be seen. I need to turn this music off. Cut the music out. Cut the music off. Should I turn the music? I'm about to turn the music off. Okay, now it's just us, child. Because the music is distracting me. Okay, they watching her. I gendered this person, but they watching toys, playing games down there on the floor. But they also like, I think there's something in that I think there's something in the my bottom bunk, child. I'm scared. You know how you be seeing stuff when you're younger and you like look up and that jacket on your chair looks like a whole entire grown man. And then you gotta look closer and you be like, oh, that's the oh. And then you gotta go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, so you gotta run real fast. You run like the floor is lava, child. You run so fast because you think that somebody's gonna grab your ankles and drag you underneath your bed. Girl, I'll be scared. Not you still do that. Girl, I remember being so scared. Or like going to get or being the last one up and having to turn off the lights downstairs and then go upstairs by myself to my bedroom in the dark. Oh my God, that would be the scariest thing ever. I would run so fast, Speeding Gonzalez. My legs literally had to wound up and like speed off. I would have like smoke coming out the back of my ankles, child. That was scary. I'd be so scared. Anyway, I sleep with my ankles dangling off your bed. Not me. Could never be me, child. Because I really think somebody's going to grab them ankles, child. Do not grab my ankles. Anyway, the bunk was empty, impeccably made with a dark blue blanket tucked in neatly, partially covering two rather bland white pillows. I didn't think anything of it at the time. I was a child, and the noise slipping under my door from my parents' television bathed me in a warm sense of safety and well-being. I fell asleep. When you awaken from a deep sleep to something moving or stirring, it can take a few moments for you to truly understand what's happening. The fog of sleep hangs over your eyes and your ears even when lucid. Something was moving. There was no doubt about that. At first, I wasn't sure what it was. Everything was dark, almost pitch black. But there was enough light creeping in from outside to outline that narrowly suffocating room. Two thoughts appeared in my head simultaneously. The first was that my parents were in bed because the rest of the house lay both in darkness and in silence. The second thought turned to the noise, a noise which had obviously woken me. As the last cobwebs of sleep withered from my brain, the noise took on a familiar form. Sometimes the simplest of sounds can be just the most unnerving, a cold wind whistling through the treehouse outside, a neighbor's footsteps uncomfortably close, or in this case, the simple sound of bed sheets rustling in the dark. Hold up, girl, who is in the bed sheets rustling in the dark? Anyway, Scully, get your mind out the gutter. How you wake up? You supposed to be asleep. Go to sleep. Anyway, that was it. The bed sheets rustling in the dark as if some disturbed sleeper was attempting to get all too comfortable in the bottom bunk. I lay there in disbelief, thinking that the noise was either in my imagination or perhaps just my pet cat finding somewhere comfortable to spend the night. If it's the cat, I'm getting rid of the cat. You know what I mean? No more cats. Close your door. Why the cat isn't? How you know the cat is in there? You would know if a cat was in your bedroom. Anyway, imagination perhaps is my cat finding somewhere comfortable to spend the night. It was then that I noticed my door shut as it has always been when I had fallen asleep. Perhaps my mom had checked in on me and the cat sneaked into my room then. Okay, I see. Yes, that must have been it. I turned to face the wall, closing my eyes in the vain hope, thinking that I could fall back to sleep. As I moved, the rustling noise from underneath me ceased. I thought that I must have disturbed my cat, but quickly I realized that the visitor in the bottom bunk was much less mundane than my pet trying to sleep, and much more sinister. As if alerted to and disgruntled by my presence, the disturbed sleeper began to toss and turn violently, like a child having a tantrum in their bed. I could hear the sheets twist and turn with increasing ferocity. Fear had gripped me. I feel like I'm reading spoken poetry. Fear had gripped me. Fear then gripped me, not like the subtle sense of unease I had experienced earlier, but now potent and terrifying. My heart raced and my eyes panicked, scanning the almost impenetrable darkness. I let out a cry. As most young boys do, I instinctively shouted on my mother. I could hear something stir on the other side of the house, but I began to breathe a sigh of relief that my parents were coming to save me. The bunk bed slowly started to shake violently as I gripped I'm crying, laughing in my brain, because, imagine, something on the bottom bunk, girl, you, 10 years old. I mean, I know it would be scary, but the fact that, the whole bed is shaking, you have to, grip the sides of it, oh, snap, girl, what's going on? Mom, please come help. That's kind of funny to me a little bit. Anyway, if I saw, I don't know why she doing the most. It's me on the bottom bunk. Nah, it's you on the bottom bunk, child. Get out her bed, child. But that is funny to me. Anyway, if this was a movie, I'll be laughing in the movie theater about that part. Am I holding this too close to my face? I think so. Anyway. So, I instinctively shouted out to my mother. I could hear something stir on the other side of the house, but as I began to breathe a sigh of relief, that my parents were coming to save me, the bunk bed suddenly started to shake violently as if gripped by an earthquake, scraping against the wall. I could hear the sheets below me thrashing around as if tormented by malice. I did not want to jump down to safety, as I feared the thing in the bunk would reach out and grab me, pulling me into the darkness. So I stayed there, white knuckles clenching my blanket like a shroud of protection. The wait seemed like an eternity. The door, finally, and thankfully, burst open, and I lay bathed in light while the bottom bunk, the resting place of my unwanted visitor, lay empty and peaceful. I cried and my mother consoled me. Tears of fear followed by relief streamed down my face. Yet through all of the horror and relief, I did not tell her why I was so upset. I can't explain it, but it was as if though whatever had been in that bottom bunk would return even so much as I spoke of it or uttered a single syllable of its existence. Whether that was the truth, I don't know. But as a child, I felt as if that unseen menace remained close and listening. Girl, if it was me, yeah, girl, it's right there. In the bottom bunk, sis. It was rustling, thrashing around violently, girl. It was giving earthquake, sis. I was gripping on just like this, child, to the dang on. Yup, just like that. To the bars, mom. Yup, I'm not sleeping in here. I'm coming to sleep with you. Like, that would have been me. Screw being like, oh, I think it's listening. Let it listen. Listen. Girl, I would bust out and listen by Beyonce, child. You could hear all he wanted. Anyway, somebody said start a prayer circle with Jehovah at me. No, for real. Okay, so, okay. My mother lay in the empty bunk. Right, she a good mom. Promising to stay there until morning. Eventually, why didn't you just go sleep with your parents? Like, why she gotta go in the bunk bed? Like, that's too much. If I was the mom, I was like, nah, you coming with me. I'm not finna sleep in your bunk bed. Enough. My mother lay in the empty bunk, promising to stay there until morning. Eventually, my anxiety diminished. Tiredness pushed me back towards sleep. But I remained restless, waking several times momentarily to the sound of rustling bedsheets. I remember the next day wanting to go anywhere, be anywhere, but in that narrow, suffocating room. It was a Saturday. It was a Saturday, and I played outside quite happily with my friends. Although our house was not large, we were lucky to have a long sloping garden in the back. We played there often, as much as it was overgrown and we could hide in the bushes, climb in the huge sycamore tree, which towered above all else, and easily imagine ourselves in the throes of a grand adventure in some untamed exotic land. As fun as it all was, occasionally my eye would turn to that small window, ordinary, slight, and innocuous. But for me, that thin boundary was the looking glass into a strange, cold pocket of dread. Outside the lush green surroundings of our garden filled with the smiling faces of my friends could not extinguish the creeping feeling clawing its way up my spine, each hair standing on end, the feeling of something in that room watching me play, waiting for the night I would be alone, eagerly filled with hate. It may sound strange to you, but by the time my parents ushered me back into that room for the night, I said nothing. I didn't protest. I didn't make up an excuse as to why I couldn't sleep there. I simply and sullenly walked into the room, climbed the few steps into that top bunk. Girl, it'd be treacherous climbing them little bunk beds, ladders. They need some like padding or grip right there for your foot, cause girl, the way I'll be sliding backwards like hold up. I'll be sliding back, falling on flat on my back. Be embarrassed. Anyway. Climbed up the few steps onto the top bunk and then waited. As an adult, I would be telling everyone about my experience, but even at that age, I felt almost silly to be talking about something which I had really no evidence for. I would be lying, however, if I said this was my primary reason. I still felt that this thing would be enraged if I so much as spoke of it. Okay, let's get this story moving, child. Somebody said this is the scariest story, only the scary story tonight, if not the only scary story tonight. Interesting. It's funny how certain words could remain hidden from your mind, no matter how blatant or obvious they are. One word came to me that second night, lying there in the darkness alone, frightened, aware of the rock. Girl, what? Did I start in the wrong place? One word came to me that second night, lying there in the darkness, frightened, aware of a rotten change in the atmosphere, a thickening of the air as if something had displaced it. As I heard the first casual twist of the bed sheets below, oh gosh, the first anxious increase of my heartbeat at the realization that something was once again in the bottom bunk, that word, a word which had been sent into exile, filtered up through my consciousness, breaking free of all repression, gasping for air, etching and carving itself out into my mind. Ghost. As the thought came to me, I noticed that my unwelcome visitor had ceased moving. The bed sheets lay calm and dormant, but they had been replaced by something far more hideous. A slow, rhythmic, rasping breath heaved and escaped from the thing below. What is this thing doing down there? Huh? My beard hairs are like curling up into my nose. Girl, I gotta do this. That's what them old people with beards do. To lay their beard hairs down. What's going on? What is down there? Stop breathing up in my room with your stink breath. As soon as I said, this too much. Okay, slow heaving breath. Slow, rhythmic, rasping breath heaved and escaped from the thing below. I could imagine its chest rising and falling with each sordid, wheezing, and garbled breath. I shuddered and hoped beyond all hope that it would leave without occurrence. The house lay, as it had the previous night, in a thick blanket of darkness. Silence prevailed, all but for the perverted breath of my, as yet unseen bunkmate. I lay there terrified. I just wanted this thing to go, to leave me alone. What did it want? Then something unmistakably chilling transpired. It moved in a way different from before. When it threw itself around the bottom bunk, it seemed unrestrained, without purpose, almost animalistic. This movement, however, was driven by awareness, with purpose, with a goal in mind. For the thing lying there in the darkness, that thing which seemed intent on terrorizing a young boy, calmly and nonchalantly sat up. Sat up, just like Scully. It sat up. Where's I done lost my part, y'all. It sat up where, sis? Animalistic girl sat up. It sat up. Its labored breathing had become louder, and now only a mattress and flimsy wooden slats separated my body from the unearthly breath below. I lay there, my eyes filled with tears, a fear which mere words cannot relate to you or anyone else coursed through my veins. I would not have believed that this fear could have been heightened, but I was so wrong. I imagined what the thing would look like sitting there, listening from below my mattress, hoping to catch the slightest hint that I was awake. Imagination then turned into an unnerving reality. It began to touch the wooden slats which my mattress sat on. Not sitting. Somebody said, sit back down, sir. Now somebody said he down there. It started touching the slats on this dang on mattress. Stop touching my mattress. Stop playing it. You know how when you would be on the top bunk, and if you've ever been in this situation, you on the top bunk and you're trying to go to bed, and like your bunk mate on the bottom is like kicking the dang on bed from underneath because they think that's funny. That's not funny, and it hurt my back. Anyway, I got some trauma I gotta deal with. Girl, it began to touch the wooden slats which my mattress sat on. It seemed to caress them carefully, running what I imagined to be fingers and hands across the surface of the wood. Then, with great force, it prodded angrily between two slats into the mattress, even through the padding. It felt as though someone had viciously stuck their fingers into my side. I let out an almighty cry, and the wheezing and the shaking and the moving thing in the bunk below replied in kind by violently vibrating the bunk as it had done the night before. Small flakes of paint powdered onto my blanket from the wall frame of the bed scraped from the wall as the frame of the bed scraped along it, backwards and forwards. He terrorizing this little boy. Get out of his room. Get out of his room. Stop terrorizing him. Go somewhere else. Why you want to be on the bottom bunk anyway? The bottom bunk is for lames. I'm kidding. I'd rather have the bottom bunk nowadays because it's like easy in, easy out. If I gotta go to the bathroom, I gotta go down a whole bunch of stairs, you know what I mean? Once again, I was bathed in light, and there stood my mother, loving, caring as she always was, with a comforting hug and calming words that eventually subdued my hysteria. Of course, she asked what was wrong, but I could not say. I dared not say. I simply said one word over and over again. Nightmare. This pattern of events continued for weeks, if not months. Night after night, I would awaken to the sound of rustling sheets. Each time I would scream so as to not provide the abomination with the time to prod and feel for me. With each cry, the bed would shake violently. Girl, go sleep with your mama. Go sleep with your mama. Girl, I don't want to hear no more complaining about a monster prodding you up, sticking their hands up into your mattress, into your side. Because you the one talking about every time, oh, I'm going to scream and my mom going to come through and she going to be loving and caring. I'm going to be bathed in light. Says, we don't care nothing about that. Go sleep with your mama. Go back into your brother's room. Sleep in the living room. Get off the bunk bed. Switch the bunk bed out. Just be like, Mom, I want this bunk bed. So many answers to this story. We talking about, oh, this is so scaring and chilling. Girl, Scully falling asleep. You know how you be sitting on an airplane with somebody and they start to fall asleep, and so you think about, I know I'm a stranger, but like I will offer you my shoulder. You know what I mean? Like I'm a nice person, and you already leaning already on me. So anyway, here we go. We keep going. Okay, the pattern of events. Okay, it's okay. Abomination will prod and feel for me with each cry. Okay. This pattern of events continued for weeks and if not months. Night after night, I would awaken to the sound of rustling sheets. Each time I would scream so as to not provide the abomination with the time to prod and feel for me. With each cry, the bed would shake violently, stopping with the arrival of my mother, who would spend the rest of the night on the bottom bunk, seemingly unaware of the sinister force torturing her son nightly. And if the mom knows that this happens nightly, why don't she just sleep in the bottom bunk in the first place? Why wait till your son is screaming and crying and hooping and hollering down the hallway? This is just not making sense, not adding up. Scully said, that's right. Behind every woman is a pack of females. Not Coach Scully on the scene. I know y'all know that TikTok. Anyway, along the way, I managed to feign illness a few times to come up with other less than truthful reasons for sleeping in my parents' bed. Okay, they answered my question. But more often than not, I would be alone for the first few hours each night in that place. The room where the light from outside did not sit right, along with that thing. With time, you can become desensitized to almost anything, no matter how horrific. I had come to realize that for whatever reason, this thing could not harm me when my mother was present. I'm sure the same would have been said for my father, but as loving as he was, waking up from his sleep was almost impossible. After a few months, I had grown accustomed to my nightly visitor. Do not mistake this for some unearthly friendship. I detested this thing. I still feared it greatly as I could almost sense its desires and its personality, if you could call it that. One filled with perverted and twisted hatred, yet longing for me of perhaps all things. My greatest fears was realized in the winter. The days grew short and the longer nights merely provided this wretched with more opportunities. It was a difficult time for me and my family. My grandmother, a wonderfully kind and gentle woman, had deteriorated greatly since the death of my grandfather. My mother was trying her best to keep her in the community as long as possible. However, dementia is a cruel and degenerative illness, robbing a person of their memories one day at a time. Soon she recognized none of us, and it became clear that she would need to be moved from her house to a nursing home. Before she could be moved, my grandmother had a particularly difficult few nights, and my mother decided that she would stay with her. As much as I loved my grandmother and felt nothing but anguish for her illness, to this day I feel guilty that my first thoughts were not of her, but of what my nightly visitor would do should it become aware that my mother is absent. Her presence being the only thing which I was sure was protecting me from the full horror of this thing's reach. I rushed home from school. The story with the family in the house, the ghost needs to start paying rent. Leave it up to y'all. Look over the comments. Y'all talking about the ghost need to pay rent. It's about to be the monsters whose job it is to watch. Huh? It's about a monster whose job it is to watch. Interesting. Oh, so this is a real story. Yeah, I'm watching some TD Jakes after this. I can't with y'all. Wait, let me get a little sippy of water. I'm friends with the monster on the bottom bunk. Girl, I rushed home from school that day and immediately wrenched the bed sheets and mattress from the lower bunk, removing all the slats and placing an old desk and chest of drawers and some chairs which we kept in a cupboard where the bottom bunk used to be. Right, yes, trading spaces, HCTV, pimp my space. I told my father I was making an office. Now, child, what you make an office for? Which he found adorable. Not so adorable, really, is it? But I would be darned if I had given that thing a place to sleep for one more night. One night only, big monster. You got one night only, you have to go somewhere else. Anyway, as darkness approached, I lay there knowing my mother was not in the house. I did not know what to do. My only impulse was to sneak into her jewelry box and take a small family crucifix, which I had seen there before. While my family were not religious, at that age I still believed in God and hoped that somehow this would protect me. Although fearful and anxious while gripping the crucifix under my pillow tightly, this is so sad. This is so sad that this child has had to grip crucifixes as they go to bed. Girl, speak up. If you see something, say something. Tell your mom, tell your dad. Like, go sleep with your dad. Your brother, where's your brother? Anyway, I still believe in God and somehow thought that would protect me, although fearful and anxious while gripping the crucifix underneath my pillow tightly. In one hand, sleep eventually came as I drifted off to dream. I hoped that I would awaken in the morning without incidents. Unfortunately, that night was the most terrifying of all. I woke gradually. The room was once again dark. As my eyes adjusted, I could gradually make out the window and the door and the walls, some toys on the shelf, and even to this day I shudder to think of it. For there was no noise, no rustling of the sheets, no movement at all. The room felt lifeless. Lifeless yet not empty. The nightly visitor, the unwelcome, wheezing, hate-filled thing which had terrorized me night after night, was not in the bottom bunk. It was in my bed. I opened my mouth to scream, but nothing came out. Utter terror had shaken the very sound of my voice. I lay motionless. If I could not scream, I did not want to let it know that I was awake. I had not yet seen it. I could only feel it. It was obscured underneath my blanket. I could see its outline and I could feel its presence, and I dared not look. The weight of it pressed down on top of me, a sensation I will never forget. When I say that hours passed, I do not exaggerate. Laying there motionless in the darkness, I was every bit as scared and frightened If it had been during the summer months, it would have been light by then, but the grasp of winter is long and unrelenting, and I knew it would be hours before sunrise, a sunrise which I yearned for. I was a timid child by nature, but I reached a breaking point, a moment where I could wait no more, where I could survive under this intimately deviant abomination no longer. Chad, somebody said, nah, that's too close for comfort. Right, enough. I mean, that was kind of comforting, you, Scully, being on me. Anyway, fear can sometimes wear you out, make you threadbare, a shell of nerves, leaving only the slightest trace of you behind. I had to get out the bed. God, child, let me get up out of here. I had to get out of the bed. Then I remembered the crucifix. My hand still lay underneath the pillow, but it was empty. I slowly moved my wrist around to find it, minimizing as best as I could the sound and vibrations caused, but it could not be found. I had either knocked it off the bed or I could not even bear to think of it, been taken from my hand. Without the crucifix, I lost any sense of hope. Even at such a young age, you can be acutely aware of what death is and intensely frightened by it. I knew I was going to die in that bed if I lay there, dormant, passive, doing nothing. I had to leave the room behind, but how? Should I leap from the bed and hope that I can make it to the door? What if it's faster than me? Or should I slowly slip out of the bed, out of the top bunk, hoping that I don't disturb the uncanny bedfellow? Realizing that it had not stirred when I moved, trying to find the crucifix, I began to have the strangest of thoughts. What if it was asleep? I hadn't so much as breathed since I had woken up. Perhaps it was resting, believing that it had finally got me, that I was finally in its grasp, or perhaps it was toying with me after all it had been doing wait, what? Hold on. It hadn't so much as breathed since I had woken up. Perhaps it was resting, believing that it had finally got me, that I was finally in its grasp, or perhaps it was toying with me. After all, it had been doing just that for countless nights, and now with me under it, pinned against my mattress with no mother to protect me, maybe it was holding off, savoring its victory until the last possible moment, like a wild animal savoring its prey. I tried to breathe shallowly as possible, and mustering every ounce of courage that I could, I reached over slowly with my right hand and began to peel off the blanket off of me. What I found underneath those covers almost stopped my heart. I did not see it, but as my hand moved the blanket, it brushed against something smooth and cold, something which felt unmistakably like a gaunt hand. I held my breath in terror as I was sure it must have now known that I was awake. Nothing. It did not stir. It felt dead. After a few moments, I placed my hand carefully further down the blanket and felt a thin, poorly formed forearm. My confidence and almost twisted sense of curiosity grew as I moved further down the disproportionately larger bicep muscle. The arm was outstretched, laying across my chest, with one hand resting on my left shoulder as if it had grabbed me in my sleep. I realized that I would have to move this cadaverous appendage if I even so much as hoped to escape its grasp. Someone said, let me go use the bathroom. Someone said, hell nah. Spirit of the living God afresh on me. now you sing a gospel in the comment section. I'm crying. Feel it in the atmosphere. Hey, the Spirit of the Lord is here. Hey, I feel it in the atmosphere. The Spirit of the Lord is here. Dum dum, da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey, dum dum. Girl, I'll pop on Kirk Franklin, y'all. I'm excited, hey, just because I've done my part. Hey, God will honor me because I'm giving from my heart. There is no lag because I trust completely in God's holy word. Girl, I'll be preacher on that day. Anyway, okay, here we go. Okay, the arm was outstretched laying across me. I would have to move this cadaverous appendage if I even so much as hoped to escape its grasp. For some reason, the feeling of torn, ragged clothing on the shoulder of this nighttime invader stopped me in my tracks. Fear once again swelled in my stomach and in my chest, and I recoiled my hand in disgust at the touch of the straggled, oily hair. I could not bring myself to touch its face, although I wonder to this very day what it would have felt like. Dear God, it moved. It was subtle, but its grip on my shoulder and across my body strengthened. No tears came, but God, how I wanted to cry. And as its hand and arm slowly coiled around me, my right leg brushed along the cool wall which the bed lay against. Of all that happened to me in that room, this was the strangest. I realized that this clutching, rancid thing which drew great delight from violating a young boy's bed was not entirely on top of me. It was sticking out from the wall, like a spider striking from its lair. Okay. Suddenly, its grip moved from a slow tightening to a sudden squeeze. It pulled and clawed at my clothes as if frightened that the opportunity would soon pass. I fought against it, but it's emancipated, emancipated proclamation, child. Its emaciated arm was too strong for me. Its head rose up, writhing and contorting under the blanket. I now realized where it was taking me. Into the wall. I fought for my dear life. I cried suddenly. My voice returned to me, yelling, screaming, but no one came. Then I realized why it was so eager to suddenly strike. Why this thing has to have me now. Through my window, that window which seemed to represent so much malice from the outside, streaked hope, the first rays of sunshine. I struggled further, knowing that if I could just hold on, it would soon be gone. As I fought for my life, the unearthly parasite shifted, slowly pulling itself up my chest, its head now poking out from under the blanket, wheezing, coughing, rasping. I do not remember its features. I simply remember its breath against my face, foul and as cold as ice. As the sun broke over the horizon, the dark place, that suffocating room of contempt was washed, bathed in sunlight. I passed out, and its scrawny fingers encircled my neck. As its scrawny fingers circled my neck, squeezing the very life from me. I awoke to my father offering to make me some breakfast. A wonderful sight indeed. I had survived the most horrible experience of my life until then, and now I moved the bed away from the wall. Girl, I would too, sis. Girl, someone said, "Where's your mom?" Mom is gone. Mom is taking care of the grandma. His grandma had dementia. She went to go take care of her. As the sun broke over the room, whatever. I woke up. Okay, Dad's making the breakfast, child. What we eating? What we eating, Dad? Scully said, "I hope waffles." You don't even like waffles. He said, yes, he does. It was on his Tinder profile. Scully, we gotta talk. Anyway, that was the most horrible night. I survived it, thank God. I moved the bed away from the wall, leaving behind the furniture I had believed would stop that thing from taking a bed. Little did I think it would try to take mine and me. Weeks right, he should have just left the bunk bed as was. Maybe would have slept downstairs or down on the bottom bunk and just rattle things up every night. You know what I mean? A little shake, and then it's over. Making that little office down there was his worst nightmare. Weeks passed without incidents, yet on the one cold, frost-bitten night, I awoke to the sound of furniture where the bunk beds used to be, vibrating violently. In a moment, it passed. I lay there, sure I could hear a distant wheezing coming from the deep within the wall, finally fading into the distance. I have never told anyone this story before, but to this day I break out in a cold sweat at the sound of bed sheets rustling in the night, or wheeze brought on by a common cold, and I certainly never sleep with my bed against the wall. Call it superstition, if you will, but as I said, I cannot discount conventional explanations such as sleep paralysis, hallucination, or that of an overactive imagination. But what I can say is this: the following year, I was given a larger room on the other side of the house, and my parents took that strangely suffocating, elongated place as their bedroom. They said that they didn't need a larger room, just one big enough for the bed and a few things. They lasted 10 days, and we moved on the 11th. So that's the story, child. They got monsters coming out the walls, sis. The parents. I don't know why this child sat there for all them days with his bunk bed shaking every night. Could you imagine waking up in your whole bed? I'm gonna turn the music back on. Friends with a monster. Ooh. Yeah, that's it, child. Burn the whole house. This too much. Poor child. Somebody said. That's it. Yeah, that's it, child. Calling all the monsters. He probably just wanted to take him to like the set of, you know, maybe behind the wall was like China Anne McClain, and they was doing the zombie dance or whatever. Yeah. Calling all the monsters. I wanna get your body shaking. I don't know the lyrics. But girl, I don't know if I could do any more stories, girl. I'm storied out. Unless y'all have something that y'all like really want me to read. But right now I think I'm going yeah. Gonna get your body shaking. Girl, turn this off, child. Girl, I can barely see. Child. Nah, it's time for sleep. I know it's like late for y'all. What time is it? What time is it where y'all at? Skull, you cold? Aw, Scully, you wanna get tucked in? Aw, Scully. Scully. Oh, I have it on. Aw, Scully. 2 a.m.? Wait, I forgot I could turn this other one on. (2:09 a.m.) Well, this I think was a very successful Spooky Scary Stories in the Zog, honey. I think I want to go live again tomorrow because I have this like idea. And I might go live again tomorrow. Is tomorrow Halloween? When is Halloween? Halloween is on Monday, right? Maybe, I don't know if we should go live tomorrow or we should go live on Halloween. 8 a.m.? No, it's not 8 a.m. Wow, anyway. I'm happy that y'all were able to join me on this year's Spooky Scary Stories in the Zork, honey. Yeah, tomorrow will be a cooking video. Not a baking video, a cooking video. I just have to figure out, because there's like a period of time where we would have to like chill out, and I'm like, what could we do in that meantime? The East Coast Whimsy stayed up. Okay, turn it up. I was supposed to have this turned on, this pot. It has one of those little, I don't know what it's called, one of those little machines that kind of makes the water evaporate weirdly, and it like bubbles out. Girl, I was rushing to get this. I wasn't even rushing today to like get this set up. I was taking my time. I was supposed to go live at 6:30 over here, but I ended up going live at like 7:30, 8 almost. I'm gonna rewatch this right after this live stream ends. Now you're gonna rewatch this. A vapor machine, right. Vapor. I think it was fun. I love Spooky Scaries in the Dark. I'm so happy. I made like a cute little intro for this and stuff. Like I was excited for this year. I can't wait for like every year I want it to be bigger and better. Like next year maybe there'll be like different segments. We had kind of a different segment situation here. But I want like a 3-hour spectacular Halloween special where we like change scenes. Maybe I have a different camera hookup where it's like I have different cameras everywhere. We can like do a cooking scene for like an hour, then we read some spooky scary stories, and maybe we do like a video game at the end. We gonna beef it up for next year, but I think we are making some progress every year. I want to see it grow. I want to see it get better, and I think we're doing that. And thank you all to all the people who sent in the stories. Shout out to Coco and Zenobia, whose stories I read. Monkey Paw, I read that. That's so interesting. Now that I read that story, Monkey Paw, I'm like, I remember this story. I think I read that when I was younger. Coco gets the W tonight. Yeah, which one was y'all's favorite story? I think for me, my favorite story was... Girl, which one was my favorite? Which one was like the most satisfying story? I feel like I should just write my own story one day. I should just write a story. But I mean, I like the last one. I feel like it was not giving too much plot though. You know what I mean? It was just like, okay, I keep getting this thing keeps shaking me, shaking. This thing keeps waking me up in the middle of the night, shaking me. And then my mom is missing for this one night, and then that's when it started trying to pull me into the wall, to the upside down world. The last one was your favorite? Yeah, I like that one too. You're always late on submission. You got, well, maybe submit it this year and put 2022, put Spooky Scary Stories 2023 in the title. What do you call that? Email open liner. What do you call that? Like the little thing that shows up in your inbox, that line. Short creepy pastas next year. Pastas. Subject. The header. I don't know why I forgot the name of that. Subject. Yeah. Put Spooky Scary Stories 2023 in the header. Subject. Spooky Stories 2023 go crazy, right? It's fine. I'm almost watching. It's almost witching hour. As to the spookiness. Oh gosh. Wait, tomorrow as in Halloween or tomorrow as in later today because it's 2 a.m. Well, for me, it's not tomorrow yet. It's 10 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock here, p.m. Dang, we was on here for a long time. Hold up, because what time? How long we been up on this thing? Not that long. No way. What time is it? No way. 3 hours we've been up here? Oh, snap. Dang, that's crazy. We were up here for 3 hours. I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, I'll be listening to podcasts that are like 2 hours long. I think I'm going to go live tomorrow too, as well. Mm-hmm. What do I have on my to-do list tomorrow? Yeah, I think I will go live. Is today Saturday? Yeah, because tomorrow's Sunday, and Sundays are like I don't have to like work out or anything. Nothing's like disrupting my day. So I can go live tomorrow afternoon-ish. Oh, wait, no, I'm going to go see that movie Tar tomorrow. I don't know when I want to see it. I'm going to try to see it like earlier in the day because it's like discounted tickets. Girl, I'm trying to get that 30% off that matinee. Will not knowing the names of random stuff is hilarious. I really just be forgetting stuff that I come in contact with all the time. I'll be like, what's these called? These things that you like use to kind of clean up spills. Huh? Oh, you're so cozy. I want some covers. Boy, it's been like 3 hours. I can't believe it's been 3 hours. I'm gonna go see a movie tomorrow. Tar, really been wanting to see that one. And The Menu. There's a lot of movies out that I want to see. I want to see A Woman King, Black Adam, maybe. I'm kind of tired of The Rock. Like, I can't do The Rock in his movies. I can't do it. Scully wants a double feature. Scully, you want to be there tomorrow? Or you want to go to the movies tomorrow? Scully is always doing, the gag is, the gag is, or the dead. I'm cracking up laughing. The gag is. He's so funny. Oh my God, Scully. Stop, you're going to get a cold. Put this around your body. Don't eat it. It's in his mouth. Oh my God. Anyway. Scully and I look cute. Well, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so I will be going live tomorrow. Watch Barbarian. Interesting. I don't know what that is. Let me look it up. I definitely want to see Tar. Oh, I can't wait to see that. And I don't think nobody be going to the midday matinees, so I'm gonna be there by myself. Barbarian 2022 film. Have y'all seen Smile? I don't think I want to watch it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see that movie. I don't want to see that movie. He's over here. He's over there guffawing. Barbarian. Y'all remember Bob the Barbarian? What kind of show was that? Barbarian. I could watch it on HBO Max right now. A young woman discovers the rental home she booked is already occupied by a stranger. Against her better judgment, she decides to spend the night, but soon discovers there's a lot more to fear than just an unexpected house guest. Well, that's your fault right there. That's your fault. Because why would you spend the night against your better judgment? Go home. Barbarian. Good morning. Not good morning, y'all. This was fun. Dave the Barbarian. Did I say Bob the Barbarian? My bad. Dave the Barbarian. Anyway, okay, I gotta go. I'm getting sleepy now. Okay, me and Scully are gonna go take it to bed. I want to see the new Orphan movie. Okay, thank y'all for hanging out with me, and I will see y'all later. This is gonna be like just this outro situation, and then it's gonna end. So, love y'all. Bye. Good night or good morning for some of y'all. I'm so sorry. Bye.